West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're waking up in the greatest country in history. We're off and running. We got a great show for you planned today. Before we get into the show, though, I want to explain a little bit of what happened yesterday, because it was kind of crazy. I got some text messages that were like, everything all right? And I'm like, man, got a little crazy. First of all, I want to thank Deb Flora.
That was kind of
Deborah Flora was supposed to be just an interview.
Yeah.
But I had a progressive migraine that was developing throughout the show yesterday. Not kidding. During the 6 o'clock hour, I was like, Bill, I can't see you out of my left eye.
Yeah, so... Normally that's a bonus feature, but not today. No, not yesterday.
I was like, you're disappearing. I've never had a migraine before, ever in my life. And it started in the 6 o'clock hour, and I'm like, I can't see Bill. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, I got this really bad pressure headache. 8 o'clock, I started to get really, really sick to my stomach. And Bill's like, you're turning white, dude.
Oh, yeah, it was awful. You were changing colors based on this. As you know, it's like when you see just the color drain from someone, it was slowly happening. You were getting more and more gray. It was awful. It was horrible.
And so Deborah's coming in. I'm like, Deborah. She was coming in for an interview. I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. I'm literally going to be sitting here vomiting into this trash can while trying to talk to you. You are a host on this station for years. Yeah. Can you just take over the hour with Bill?
Yeah, we just threw in the chair. Fantastic.
With like 30 seconds notice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no notice at all. Yeah, none. It was great.
Just dived right in.
Yeah.
And then I listened to you guys. I was able to make it home. I was talking to my family because they're like, we'll come pick you up. I'm like, I'll get home. If there's a problem, I'll pull over and you guys can come get me there. Yeah. So I was listening to you guys, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. Well, again, you had a massive headache, so I'm not going to take that, I'm taking that with great ounce, great assault. You were about to throw up. So, the idea that we were good when you're experiencing that. I will take it, though. I'll take the compliment. It was wonderful. It was wonderful that she just jumped in and sat back. And she and I hadn't worked with each other for quite a while. So it was nice. That was kind of a nice little deal. That was a nice respite. But it's great to have you back. And
it was kind of fun because I'm like trying to debate Tony. I can't see out of my left eye.
Oh yeah,
I have all this pressure building in my head.
Yeah, and you can't. And it's hard to maintain the thought thread because you're distracted by so much else. It's almost like when you go back in the one of my favorite 007 movies, when we're not going to say the name today, but they have a game about nuclear war.
I think I know what
yes, exactly. And the electricity keeps ramping up, and the idea is, can you deal with this negative influence while you're still trying to make good cognitive decisions? And that's exactly what you were doing yesterday. You can't do that. No, it's no way to do this.
Well, and I was afraid that my migraine may have affected my words, and I may have said some things that were quite offensive. One of those was that I don't find Canadians particularly intelligent. I still stand by
Bill, I think you're right about this. I think that was the other one that was completely offensive and completely wrong. Yes.
I stand by my Canadian words.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the text messages I got wondering what happened. It was just random. I've never, ever had a migraine before. It's awful.
Yeah.
I slept for about 6 hours midday yesterday and finally woke up and got better at it. But goodness, folks that have to deal with that on a monthly basis.
Oh, yeah.
I got a text message from somebody who's like, I get those every month. I'm like, jeez.
Oh, yeah. They're devastating. Oh, yeah. I've worked with people. I have someone in my family that has them regularly, gets them way too regularly. It's awful. They are absolutely devastating. And to see, and the weird part is that, there's some medication, some other treatments and things for it, but for something that is so debilitating for such a group of people, I'm surprised we haven't done more with it, or we don't deal with it in a different way. It's really
one of the Williams sisters,
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like the face of an advertisement for some
she does.
medication.
Yeah, and I worked with someone that used to take the shots. That it got so bad that she had to take a shot, and I would help. But it was brutal. You could see every time she was suffering from it. As a coworker, that her door was cracked. All the blinds in her office were pulled down. Everything was dark.
Yeah.
She would put on a baseball hat and have sunglasses on, and then turn the dimmer down on her computer monitors. And so if you came in and you saw a black office, the thing was just slightly open, you're like, ooh, we don't even talk to her today.
Yeah.
Because you know what she was dealing with. Yeah, it was so bad.
Oh. Yeah,
And she was still at work, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
and so that's the
seriously.
thing is, she's sitting there, and you yesterday having to go through it. So yeah, it's one of those things that is so debilitating.
I mean, what was funny was like you and I are talking, and I'm just like,
yeah,
Bill, I can't.
Yeah.
And I kept like moving. I'm like, I can't see you.
Now
what
this
is going on? And then you then were like, wait till we read this. You choose the news.
Oh yeah, I'm like, wait until we get to that, and that was a cartwheel thing because it was going. Oh, and my favorite part was off air, Jeff. And this is always one of those things where someone there are certain phrases that you're like, oh, and your sphincter clenches a little bit. And so Jeff starts off yesterday when he's talking about this. Okay, I don't want to alarm you, but I'm like, hang on. In the history of the world, nothing fantastic has ever come after that phrase. Yeah. I don't alarm you, but do you see the size of the spider behind you? I mean, nothing ever goes well after that phrase. So, yeah, that was
Andrew texting in, sorry you got the headache, Jeff. Glad you're feeling better, and that you still don't find Canadians that smart. Yeah. I don't either, by the way.
Oh, that's great. Nicely done. Thank you so much, Andrew.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the kind words.
Great.
So we got a lot to talk about today. Denver facing some very serious cuts coming from the federal government, FEMA, and others. As Denver embraces its sanctuary city status, it's facing some real consequences from the Trump administration. And who do you blame for this? Also, AmeriCorps facing some pretty big cuts. Then we're going to talk to two state reps, Carlos Barron and Ron Weinberg, on a bill that was passed out of the House yesterday that's going to have very serious sanctuary state consequences for Colorado. And then we're going to talk with Rabbi Yisrael Kohen of B'nai Yisrael Outreach. I think today is Israel Independence Day. So there's some celebrations happening down at the Colorado State Capitol about that. We'll talk with the rabbi and get an update on what's happening in Israel in the Hamas-Israel war.
Also, caller just called in, didn't have time to go on the air, but said you may want to look at your caffeine intake, which doesn't help with this morning show. But he said that he had bad migraines until he gave up caffeine. And then the migraines
I did drink
went
a
away,
lot
so
of
he
coffee
becomes,
yesterday.
Well, and just in general, the hour, it's dark when we show up here. So in general, coffee is kind of required for this job. So yeah, so he said that may help, that kind of monitor your caffeine intake. And if you tip over a certain level, that it may be negative.
So Israel Independence Day starting today, kicking off today and going all the way till tomorrow. So happy Israel Independence Day. Lots to talk about today, but now it's time for Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen, news and comment.
Good morning. 39 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 69 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, TMZ reporting that John Elway, his friend Jeff Spurbeck, and their wives were leaving the Stagecoach Music Festival on Saturday in California when Spurbeck fell from a golf cart and hit his head. Spurbeck, who's also Elway's longtime agent and business partner, was reportedly on life support and in grave condition at a Palm Springs hospital. Some reports indicate that Elway was driving the cart, though that has not been confirmed as of yet. But Jeff Spurbeck definitely integral in John Elway's life. Temporary restraining order barring the deportation of a group of illegal Venezuelans will remain in effect in Colorado. A 3-judge panel of the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals denied a request to overturn the order Tuesday. U.S. District Court Judge Charlotte Sweeney issued the order requiring the government to give 21 days notice to those who could be deported under the Alien Enemies Act. She also ordered the Department of Justice to inform those people that they have a right to and appeal, and to do so in a language that they understand. How sweet. Sweeney's order is set to expire on May 6th. Ah, yes. Putting illegals ahead of citizen safety. That is honorable.
He did so great. What's the problem over there? What's the problem? Is that a radical left lunatic?
Another classic rally moment last night.
He's just a child. All right, get him out. Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought it was a guy. Thank you. And she now has to go home to a mother who's a big Trump fan. Her mother's watching. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said he, and it's a she. I'm sorry.
These days, you never know. See, that's the problem with all this transgender stuff. You just never know. It's not fair. 100 days, border is secure, getting rid of criminals who are illegal, exposing fraudulent communist judges and waste and corruption in government, and bringing back manufacturing to America, just to name a few. It's a great start. Much, much more to come. The president and executives from some big-name companies are set to meet at the White House today, promoting their investments in the United States. The list includes NVIDIA, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly, Geo Aerospace, and SoftBank, companies that have pledged to spend in the U.S.-based expansions and projects. The president of Harvard University is vowing to make changes after internal reports found evidence of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism on campus. Harvard President Alan Garber said the reports released Tuesday reveal aspects of a charged period in our recent history. One report found Jewish students being harassed. Yes, we know that
just
happened.
A charged?
Yeah, just a charged report. But I love how they balance it out here. Another found Muslim students afraid to express their political beliefs.
Yeah, right.
I saw that. I don't think they were intimidated at all to bring out the drums and the garb and the
no, this
voices.
was pure intimidation and harassment of Jewish students. We all saw it. They couldn't go to school at USC or UCLA even, and were blocked from getting to their classes. These radical Hamas protesters took over buildings. This was not free speech. They were not having a policy discussion in a classroom on Israel and Hamas relations. They were intimidating Jewish students, and we're not going to allow that to happen in this country.
Exactly. Hey, by the way, I'm glad your headache is gone. That is the worst. Migraines are horrible. They are horrible. Chai tea, man. Try chai tea. That helps me.
You just got to kind of sleep them off. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And you need that dark. You need
dark
to sleep.
Yep.
You need to sleep in the dark rooms, no doubt. So I'm glad you're okay. And
Thanks, brother.
Jordan Peterson is insulted by what you said about Canadians.
Yeah, he's probably the only one. Like, there's always an
he doesn't live there
exception.
anymore.
There's always an exception to the rule, and I met some Canadian cowboys that are fine. But when you're like, the guys that keep putting Justin Trudeau into office, give up all your Second Amendment rights, your religious freedom rights, and then boo the national anthem. Yeah,
and the Cowboys are the Stampeders from Calgary, and they're really Americans anyway.
Yes,
so.
exactly.
I'm glad you're back, man. We were worried about you. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Game 5, first round series, Clippers and the Nuggets last night, tied at 2 games apiece.
Hard block by Jordan. Murray on the runaway. Kawhi chases, and Murray powers it down.
Wow, Jamal Murray, 43 points. Nugs win big, 131-115. Tomorrow at the Clippers Avalanche Stars tomorrow. Also in that series, Avs trying to tie it back up. 7:30 they drop the puck. 36 in Lone Tree, 37 in Lafayette, 39 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
Valedictorian, straight A student, has excellent diction if you give them a chance.
Speaking of giving headaches and all that.
Excellent
She's so
diction.
ridiculous. Speaking of diction, she is ridiculous. Blake Olsen, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Typical late April weather for Denver. Temperatures will be in the 60s today, partly cloudy. A couple of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Temperatures will make the 60s, near 40 tonight with showers ending. Near 70 Wednesday, partly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms late. And then overnight and into the day on Thursday, showers likely, cooler Thursday with highs only in the mid to upper 50s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I'm going to bring Blake back on this one because I saw this breaking from TMZ that apparently the Jordan Hudson nightmare during the Belichick interview was way worse than even portrayed on the video. She stormed off the set at one point. Jordan Hudson went completely off the rails during Bill Belichick's CBS interview to the point where she stormed out of the room, delayed shooting for 30 minutes. Sources familiar with the situation tell TMZ Sports. Belichick agreed to do a sit-down interview with CBS Morning to promote his new book, The Art of Winning, but it turned into a giant L, at least PR-wise, when his 24-year-old girlfriend interrupted the interview asking Bill how they met. We're told outside of that baffling moment that made the final edit, there were numerous other instances of Hudson butting in, even when legendary coach was answering questions about football. She would stop and correct him. Our sources say Belichick only arrived at the interview with Hudson. No one from his publishing company, the University of North Carolina, as any other rep was with him, which was a bit of a head-scratcher to CBS producers on set. At one point in the Q&A, Hudson got so heated, she stood up, walked out, and wanted Bill Belichick to follow. It's unclear if the coach agreed, but the blow-up delayed the whole interview for about half an hour. We're told once things calmed down, the interviewer, who was spooked by the whole encounter, elected to wrap up things quickly and end the awkward experience. What's amazing to this, and what all the comments are, is, Bill Belichick was known throughout football for being, direct, a tough interview, a tough guy to deal with, very, very in control of everything. And now he's in his 70s handing everything over to a 24-year-old girlfriend. Blake, you've been in sports. Help me understand what's happening to Bill Belichick here.
I don't know if it has anything to do with sports, but it definitely has to do with entertainment and name recognition and money and values. Because I look at this and I'm sad. I'm saddened for her because a 70-year-old, really extremely wealthy guy is basically, I know she has free will and it's her choice and she's a grown woman. I get it. But she's 24 and he's just stealing her life, number one. She doesn't realize it. She's going to be stealing his money soon. And
he doesn't see
it's a
that?
horrible, right? It's a horrible look. And if you're a leader of young men at the University of North Carolina, I know they're all getting paid now, Division I football players. But at the same time, he got her out there. You've seen the video in her stylish, fashionable coat. You told me about this. I didn't even see it. And then in high heels on the practice field. I don't know what she's doing out there. Putting stuff in his pocket. It's a horrible look for the University of North Carolina, for Bill Belichick and his legacy. And he's not thinking with the head above his shoulders, his brain. And it's sad.
It's
it really
like this
is.
bizarre crossover of a granddaughter taking care of her grandfather. But then you have all the sexual relationship side of all this. And then
the
you
only
have
difference is he's sleeping with her.
I mean, like she's like helping him put stuff in his pockets, guide him around.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It really
and
is.
you have this legendary coach, 7 Super Bowl wins. A guy that was at the peak performance of one of the most demanding sports in the world.
Yeah.
And now she's this pipsqueaks guiding him around. I mean, I remember showing up in Washington, D.C. at about 24, 25 as an intern and not feeling like I could tell my boss at the time anything.
Yes.
And yet
she's a little bossy.
Maybe perhaps the idea is you don't know who the boss is. She's the boss. It's obvious.
Yeah.
In
Right,
this relationship,
right.
she's the boss.
Absolutely.
She's the one. So she's the one showing up in D.C. as the 24, 25, 26-year-old instead of being the intern. She's been given the C-suite corner office. She's the CEO. That's what she has been. And
Exactly.
Mitch McConnell's sitting over in the corner drooling.
Yeah, it's like the thing that I found interesting is that neither one of them will talk about how they met. That's
right.
Freaking
Absolutely.
weird.
Yeah, it is.
That is so weird, and it itches a weird part in my brain because when I'm getting to know a couple, the first time you're hanging out with people, etc. One of the things I want to know is, wait, how did you meet?
Yep.
How did you know? One of the things that I always love to ask married couples is, how did you know he or she was the one? Because there's always a moment in when you're like, okay, I can make this commitment for life. That's a special moment. That's a memory. And just like that memory of the person you're hanging with, that you know when and how you met. You knew exactly what it was. And they won't talk about it? That's freaking weird.
I saw an interview with Megyn Kelly and Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah.
Because she's married to a guy that's 32 years older than her.
Oh, is that right?
The press secretary.
Yeah, every time. I mean, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say this because I like to do these kind of things sometimes. Every time you see a picture of Caroline Levitt and her husband, looks like a wonderful, loving relationship, but the first blush is that's her dad. Every time you see the picture, it's just how you look at the picture. It's just psychological. You look at it, you're like, oh,
32 years.
That's her dad.
Yeah, that age. The difference would make sense,
but it looks like a
to your
wonderful
point,
relationship.
she was asked how they met, and she just was super easy about it. She goes, "Oh, I was giving a speech. I was running for Congress. My friends hosted a fundraiser. He happened to be there. We struck up a friendship, and then before you knew it, we fell in love. And I loved the guy. He's so supportive. Although she had no problem talking about it. There's an age difference there. She had no problem talking about it.
Yeah. Dana Perino is married to a guy that's 20 plus years older than she is. She talks about how they met. Yeah, she talks about how they met on a plane flight. That he ends up sitting right next to her, and they struck up a conversation. She enjoyed talking to him so much. The friendship and conversation continued, and eventually they went on dates, and then love blossomed. That's cool. Fine.
But this one just seems so different.
Yeah, it just because they won't talk about it. That's what makes it weird.
30 years,
and he
20
doesn't
years,
talk.
and then 50 years. There's a 50-year difference there.
I mean, it's weird. It almost makes you think that Belichick's going to be thinking like, there was this catalog I got and I went through and in the brunette section I clicked. You're like, wait, hang on. I mean, that's what it makes you think.
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah,
or
8913 is like OnlyFans. Well, I mean,
exactly. That's what you got to think about.
It strikes me more into the Anna Nicole Smith oil guy, and they met at a strip club.
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And the thing for me is that dude was so close to death at that point. I'm like, dude, one last ride. Go right ahead. I got no problems with that. You got to take out one last ride into the sunset. Go right ahead, my man.
Right.
I'm all and props to her too. Understanding and getting hers. Fine. Go right ahead. That was one time I'm like, okay. I think both of them are getting exactly what they want out of this.
When George Burns used to do it all the time, it was comical. Because he was in 80, 90 years older than or whatever it was, 75 years older than him. But this is odd.
It's just weird.
I mean, he doesn't even talk. He talks. But
and did you see the yoga pictures?
Yes.
Where they're on a beach and he's like lifting her up.
It's like no.
But part of what's so bizarre about this is like we watched Bill Belichick for decades being like ice cold, laser focused on delivering for his football team.
Yeah.
He was direct to the point. He didn't mess around. It wasn't like a guy that had an Instagram account.
Well, he was Blake knows because Blake's been sitting in those rooms with the coaches and done the interviews, and he's seen Belichick's behavior behind the podium. Right. He understands that Belichick takes no crap in that situation. When he was the head coach of the Patriots, if you had a dumb question, he'd call you out, he'd ignore you, he'd berate you, and now he's kind of like,
you should have seen him before he went to New England when he was with the Browns.
Yeah,
I interviewed him in Dallas after a Cowboys game. It was worse. It was worse. But, I think back to that. That was in the late 90s, and I think he was in his 40s then.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my Lord.
Yes. So he was in his 40s then when I interviewed him, and now he's, dating a 24-year-old.
So here's another question. We talked about this the other day. Shannon Sharp's off now. His career's maybe ruined at this point. The audio's coming out, all this stuff. He's going to pay $10-20 million to settle this away. These guys, as smart as they are, don't see this coming, or they just don't care.
I think it's a don't care because the money is an insulator. Because you don't deal with the regular rules of everybody else. Because how you interact with the general public is different than us, Blake and Jeff and Bill and all of us listen to the show. We're the general public, so when we show up places, we are treated certain way, like the riffraff. But they're insulated. They have a different set of rules, and so they believe that insulates them from the criminals, the negative behavior,
but Blake,
leaks.
You brought up the fact that these guys are warned about all this. Like, you get into the league, the NFL tells you, you're going to get honeypotted. They're out there.
Yep.
He's not setting a good example. There's no doubt about that. They're going to roll their eyes when they hear from the NCAA and everyone who preaches to them about, females trying to take advantage of them and attractive young ladies trying to get, everything that they own eventually in the end. And they're going to roll their eyes because they see their head coach hanging out and dating a 24-year-old. A 24-year-old.
I mean, that's like barely out of college.
Yeah.
And right. I worked at a university, and, you had this legal reality that the students were over the age of 18, right? Mm-hmm. But it still was stupid to be in a relationship with somebody, even though it wasn't technically illegal.
Absolutely.
So you would lose your job. If you were a professor or anything, you were ushered out. And they'll find somebody else.
If you're in your late 20s and you have an intern come in, who's 23, 24, and, you're attracted to her or whatever, you better watch out because you may lose your job.
Do you think the college sticks around with Belichick?
That college sticks around?
The UNC. Do you think UNC?
What's his
I
record?
don't. Yeah, that's a good. It depends. Right. What's his record? What's his record, and how much money is a booster willing to pay?
Are the boosters willing to redo the club level section of the stadium? If so,
Yes.
Belichick stays.
Yes, exactly. If he wins
yeah.
eight or 9 games this year, then
Yeah.
he's okay.
Oh, yeah, he's
but
just fine.
If he wins 4, there may be there may be a little talk in the Bible Belt
Yeah,
of North
exactly.
Carolina.
Yeah, but as long as he's winning, that paper's over a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
A whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, it's a dirty business.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's just
a dirty
amazing
business.
that he is willing to put up with somebody that storms off set, interrupts questions. Oh, like, why put up with somebody like that?
It's amazing.
I did this off air with Jeff, and I'm taking my own career in my own hands this morning at 6:30 in the morning. But I know the answer. I know exactly the answer because Bill Belichick. I mean, if friends come over to him and go, "Dude, she's like bossing you around. Dude, she's doing this. She's putting things in your pocket. She's cutting off interviews. Why are you putting up with this?" He's like, "Have you seen her boobs?" And they're like, but no. This time, go home. The woman that you've been loving for so long and everything else, and take a look at her boobs. And then, have you seen her boobs? I'm just, again, I'm not saying it is the best argument, but I just think that little Bill is talking a little bit too loudly.
Yes.
And that may be the issue. Yes, that's a problem. That is a problem
Bill.
here. Yes. It only works because I get to say
out
that.
a way.
Yes.
You hit
Yes,
it.
that's the only way I get to it. Yeah, no.
You hit it, Billy.
I'm trying to dance the line so close, and I'm still getting in trouble for this.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you know what? We like to make coaches and players out to be geniuses sometimes. I mean, sometimes, most of the time, not players, but a lot of time coaches. And you know what? Hey, they're great at what they do if they win, but that doesn't make them a genius. There are smart guys. There are really dumb guys. I've met really intelligent football coaches, and I've met some really dumb ones as well.
Oh, yeah. Tommy Tuberville, fantastic football coach, doesn't know what the 3 branches of government are. And he's in Congress.
I like Coach Tuberville.
Oh, yeah, as a coach, great. I'm just,
I like him as a senator, too.
I will shout this from the rooftops. The Billy Graham rule when it comes to your marriage is such a good idea. Mm-hmm. Don't. If you don't know what the Billy Graham rule is, Billy Graham, very good-looking evangelist. His ministry's taking off. He and his guys sit down in Modesto, California, and come up with what's called the Modesto Manifesto, and he set up a number of rules for how they were going to run their ministry that set him up for success. That's why the guy has a great legacy. He was really good-looking, and women were, he's become this television star and all this stuff. He was never going to be alone with a woman that wasn't his wife. We're not going to go out to dinner. I'm not going to travel with you. I'm just not going to do it. We're going to set strict boundaries. Number 1. Number 2, he never lied about the size of his crowds. He said, we're going to always rely on the fire marshal. Whatever the fire marshal says, and you end up with these guys. We had 15,000 people show up. You didn't have 15,000. You had 500 people in that room. I was there. So that happens a lot. And then third, anybody at any time could swing by Billy Graham Evangelical Association and look at their books. You could open their books right there, see where they're spending their money. Nothing was going to be hidden. And those were the 3 rules. I think they were smart the way they set things up. And
unfortunately, Bill Belichick has taken that and he's like, well, I'm not married, so I've decided the woman that I want to be alone with nobody else. And so, have you seen her? Right. Yeah. You're right about Billy Graham. That's a great way to follow it. And keep everything above board.
But cook, huh?
Yeah.
She's a really good cook. So I'm sure that's what he cares about.
I'm sure that's it.
Was he married at one point? Was Belichick married at one point?
Oh yeah, he has kids. He has I think kids in their 30s. I think.
How awkward is that Thanksgiving dinner?
I think
when the mom to be doesn't understand some of your social media references because she's too young. That's weird.
Yeah,
that's really strange.
Now I know that like politics is just a family destroyer. Is professional sports at that level the same way because of the demands? Blake?
Oh yeah.
Like you've just got to be in the office all the time. You're always traveling.
Yeah, it's difficult to be a coach and stay married. Yeah. It really is.
But
at the same time,
commitments, everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then and the travel involved, and but at the same time, there's always stories about the coaches' wives who are incredible, who stick around, and then it pays off when they get to the NFL or high level Division One.
And one of the advantages I think.
God.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One of the advantages with the wives of the players and the coaches is they don't necessarily have to have a job based on the dollar amount that the husband's bringing in, and in other industries like radio and politics can be a killer for families because sometimes the money's not there. That if you're dragging your spouse across the country because you've lost your fourth radio job, your spouse has already lift up roots several times to follow you, and maybe at that point she's actually finding a career where she's getting success, and now you're telling her we need to move somewhere else for my job, and you've got to start back at rung one again, and that's difficult, where it's easier for the families that don't have jobs to follow, and so that tends to, in my mind, lead to the chance that the relationship sticks together more than, I would say, a lower-level politician or a lower-level radio host who's bouncing around. Radio chews families up and spits them out. It is hard to have a long-term successful relationship in radio. It is really, really hard.
Belichick was married for almost 30 years to Debbie Clark. They split. He then dated Linda Holliday for 16 years.
Oh, okay.
And then now Jordan Hudson.
And Linda got a little older, and he was done.
Oh, gosh. Wow. I mean, it's... do you think one of the theories, too, was that this was all just to sell his book? The Art of Winning.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Brilliant marketing. Brilliant. I mean, if you have the choices, think about it. We're hanging out in the room. We're in the conference room. We were like, okay, guys, we got to find a way to sell Bill's book. What are we going to do? Let's see. He can do a book tour. He can go on to The View and talk to the ladies. And then someone in the back's like, how about a hot chick? Johnson, speak up a little bit there. I want to hear you talking about the hot chick, man. Do you have one in mind? Yes, I know it at school. No, man. Okay, come up here. That should be it. Yeah, so, yes, I can see that marketing working really well, especially if Bill's in the room. He's like, tell me more about the young hot chick. I'm very interested in that possibility, yes.
The art of winning.
The art of winning. Is Bill Belichick winning right now?
What category are we talking about?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. What category? Oh, my God. We are so awful.
It's all entertainment.
This is why we do it in the 6 o'clock hour.
This is why when no one's awake. Yes, exactly.
Please email Kelly Michaels for all your complaints.
No, don't do that. Don't tell me. It's going to be about me. Don't encourage this.
All right. All right, are you ready to transform your kitchen or bathroom into a stunning masterpiece? Look no further than The Art of Granite, your premier destination for exquisite granite, marble, and quartz countertops for over 15 years. Mitch Floria, the owner of The Art of Granite, has been crafting and installing custom countertops, fireplaces, showers, and more. Their team of experts will guide you through the selection process, ensuring you find the perfect stone to match your style and budget. Visit their showroom in Golden or browse their online inventory at theartofgranite.com. Discover the endless possibilities for your home renovation project. All you got to do is mention KNUS and get a free bathroom countertop with new kitchen countertops, or choose a free kitchen or bathroom sink with any countertop package. Don't wait. Transform your home into the oasis you deserve. Schedule your free consultation with Mitch today. Go to theartofgranite.com. That's theartofgranite.com. Mention KNUS for those exclusive savings. Transform your kitchen or bathroom dreams into reality with The Art of Granite. That's theartofgranite.com. Text 720-819-5115 to tell us how inappropriate Bill was. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
I'm in so much trouble. Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Rocky's nightmare start. Worst ever among National League teams in modern era. Keeps spiraling out of control. What is going on with them? We into like Major League territory, the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Where they want to move the team, and this is some reason to do it?
The weird thing is that I think the reason is they don't have to care because the Coors Field so far just keeps producing revenue. So they don't have to worry about it, is kind of the idea that people go. I mean, the Colorado baseball fan, I believe, is mostly super casual, and they've groomed the fan to just go to the ballpark
to win.
And that's it. Yeah. It's just to be there is an event. The Rockies are so bad. When my kids were younger, they used to think that Coors Field was just a huge food court with side entertainment. They don't understand. They just thought that's where, and you eat all the food, and then look, there's also a game going on, but the game wasn't the reason you were going. You were going because it was this huge food court. That's what they thought. Yeah, because the team was just so bad. There's no incentive for them to get any better.
It's weird to me to own a sports team and not want to win.
Yeah.
But maybe it's their family, and I don't know them that well, they're just happy that it produces $1 more than they spend.
It depends. And again, I don't know how they do it because I'm more into the finances on the other side of the pond over in Europe as far as finances for soccer teams and things. And what will happen is some of these really rich families, one that pops into mind is the Glazers, who own Manchester United. What the Glazers have done is not make any investments per se into the club. They'll buy players, but what they do is they take out loans against the value of the club, and then they take dividends from that loan. And so what they do is they take out a loan against the value of the club. If it goes under, the club goes under. They're not necessarily held responsible. And then they'll pull out $10, $11, $12 million a year just as a bonus for themselves, just because. And then they call it a dividend for themselves. And it's driving fans inside of England and the rest of Europe nuts because of this happening over and over and over again. It's not just Americans, but it's all the owners have a tendency to do it. Very rarely do you see
Bud
this.
Black's been around forever.
Yeah.
It seems like he
seems like a decent dude as far as ability, etc. But they don't give him any tools, etc. They're not trying to invest in winning. I mean, you could go get Carlo Ancelotti, coach of Real Madrid. You come over here and you give him the Rapids, or the Rapids don't invest in their club. So he's not going to be able to give you a championship.
I think they should do the minor, like they do in soccer, where they bring up, you drop down.
Yep. Oh, you should. And baseball.
Banana ball?
Yeah. Baseball is perfect. Baseball already has the internal system for relegation and promotion. And talk about, if you were a fan of the Colorado Sky Sox, how cool would it be for one season your Sky Sox get a chance to play the Yankees?
Bring back the Denver Zephyrs.
Yes. That's why it's so cool, but well.
We've got You Choose the News. Coming up, you're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's that time of the morning we get even sillier with You Choose the News.
Yes, if you thought we were in danger during the first part of this hour, just you wait. This is America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I've scoured the interwebs for moments this morning to find really, really dumb stories about us humans, giving them even more ridiculous headlines so we can play this fake radio news game show. Why, oh, why would we do this on valuable airtime here at 710 KNUS? Because nobody in charge is up until 7 o'clock. Yes, that's why we talked about boobies earlier in the hour. That's the way we can do it. Alrighty, so we always take our careers into our hands, be more than most. Okay, now this is how it rolls. Blake Olsen joins us from the news department. Jeff is in the studio. And, gentlemen, your headlines this morning. Choose wisely. Headline number 1, endorsed by Skynet. Headline number 2, bust my buffers. Headline number 3, just like at the bar. And headline number 4, sometimes me think, what is friend?
Endorsed by Skynet, please.
Yes, endorsed by Skynet. The United Arab Emirates evidently hasn't seen the Terminator series. They are going to be the first nation on the planet to rely on artificial intelligence to write new laws. Yeah, it's going to work out well. Their new Regulatory Intelligence Office, seems a little bit dumb there, but okay, is approved to help streamline their legislative process, according to several media outlets. It's going to be powered by artificial intelligence and create how they change laws. Yes, they no longer care about what you think, but again, it's the UAE. They're just going to let the machines tell them what to think and what should be the rules, and we've all seen this movie before, I'm certain. Soon time travel and then everything else, and we have to find Sarah Connor. I know, that's how it's going to end. But seriously, AI rules. However, if you were to tell me that we were going to save some of the consternation and problems we were having down in our Colorado Golden Dome, I don't know.
Yes,
Maybe
first
AI.
of all, yes, they would write bills a lot better than what's being written down there.
Yeah, maybe.
It would come with a warning that, this is unconstitutional.
Yes, exactly.
At least at the top before.
Yeah, I know.
Because they do it now, and they're like, 5 years
we'll
from
just
now.
find out.
Right.
Let's just see. Who knows? Alrighty. Blake Olsen, sir, bust my buffers, just like at the bar, or sometimes me think, what is friend?
Well, bust my buffers.
Well, bust my buffers. Yes. Now, hopefully everybody got the reference there. If you have little kids, you'll know this one. Sometimes little engines can indeed do big things. However, putting yourself and others on the road in potential great danger is not really the way to go about it. That's what police say when a woman was recently caught driving more than 100 miles per hour. It happened on a Sunday morning, Interstate 95. She was pulled over with a 2-year-old in Hartford, Connecticut, in the back of the car. Why in the heck would a 37-year-old be trying to bust her buffers at 102 miles per hour on a Sunday morning? Well, obvious. She's trying to get to a Thomas the Tank Engine train event in Essex. Yes. They were running late. And again, but this is a day out with Thomas. Come on, it says, the party tour describes the gathering as a fun-filled family event that promises a train ride with life-size Thomas the Tank Engine, as well as access to a full day of activities and everyone to enjoy. So, of course, 102 miles per hour. Of course. You have to.
Wow.
Yeah. I just love the fact that she's like, no, I got to go see Thomas the Tank Engine.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I took my 3-year-old at the time. He was all excited.
Oh, heck yeah.
Once I got there in Golden, he was frightened to death of the whole experience.
It's huge. Yes, we went to
It
Golden
froze
too.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. When they were really young too, because it is too big. Because Thomas is tiny on the TV, but then when it's a real science engine,
was intimidating
that's
to him.
enormous.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Mine were scared too. Oh my
Paid
god.
a lot of money for that day.
Yes, a lot of money for them to hide behind you and not get a picture next to the. Yeah, you pay all the money and they don't get the picture next to the train, and you're like, "What the hell are we doing here?" Yes. Alrighty, Jeff, your final choice there. Just like at the bar, or sometimes me think what is friend.
Sometimes me think
Yes,
what is
sometimes
friend.
me think what is friend. Yes, if those are the Sesame Street fans, will recognize that as one of Cookie Monster's famous quotes. And Kristen Savage went all Cookie Monster recently. She was walking her dog when she came face to face with a black bear. She quickly picked up Ringo, her 13-pound Chihuahua mix the bear was going after, and threw the bear a bag of cookies.
Smart.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Good job.
Yep, that's
All
it.
right.
That's the end of your Choose
Trump
the News.
rescinding Denver grants worth $24 million for illegal immigrants. We'll talk about it. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
710 KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Headline coming from the Denver Post: Trump administration rescinds Denver grants worth $24 million for migrant shelters, following through on his threat. The FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, will no longer pay Denver about $24 million in promised grant money to cover what the city already spent to shelter migrants. If you remember, Common Sense Institute, looking at the amount of money that has been spent on illegal immigrants since 2022 in Denver, since we hung that big sign that said, "We hurt immigrants." $356 million. That's on city services, education, healthcare, and other related expenditures, to the point where we spent nearly $7,900, $8,000 on each illegal immigrant. And at one point, Mikey Johnston was providing an apartment for 6 months. This is what created the giant apartment fiasco in Aurora, by the way. Free apartment living, debit cards, workforce training, and access to lawyers, all for each illegal immigrant. It's wild. Trump now cutting back. Denver going to face serious budget crisis. What do you think of all of it? We'll get to this and more. Phone lines are open. We want to hear from you. 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971. Or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Now is time for Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen, news and comment.
Good morning, hump day, 40 and sunny and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 69 today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, TMZ reporting that John Elway, his friend Jeff Spurbeck, and their wives were leaving the Stagecoach Music Festival on Saturday in California when Spurbeck fell from a golf cart and hit his head. Spurbeck, who's also Elway's longtime agent and business partner, was reportedly on life support and in grave condition at a Palm Springs hospital. Some reports indicate that Elway was driving the cart, though that has not been confirmed. So praying for Jeff after that fall. Police in Thornton are identifying a teen who allegedly tried to kidnap a middle school student. Investigators announced the arrest of 18-year-old Stephen Hausman on Tuesday. Hausman allegedly tried to abduct the 15-year-old girl, and she was walking near the Thornton Middle School on Monday. He was reportedly identified through surveillance footage and was taken into custody at Thornton High School. He faces several charges, including suspicion of second-degree kidnapping, second-degree assault, and attempted sexual assault. DJT working with automakers. Trump signed a pair of executive orders that would remove tariffs that Ford, GM, and other automakers said would raise the cost of production. The executive orders would also allow vehicles to go through final assembly in the U.S. to qualify for tariff relief. Does DJT trust Putin? ABC interview in the Oval Office on Tuesday.
I don't trust a lot of people, but I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me, and I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole, but his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine. Okay. It's a war that never should have happened.
All right, the 47 administration celebrated 100 days on Tuesday, another entertaining rally, this time in Michigan.
He said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to start the impeachment of Donald Trump. What the hell did I do? Here we go again. They want to impeach me.
I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump. Article 1.
This lunatic, he was up. Actually, I had the television way down, and I said to our great First Lady, listen, did I just hear I was being impeached again?
Democrats, Republicans, and independents to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached.
We're getting good at this, though.
What's that, Jeff?
It's almost like a skit at this point. I saw that video. I thought it was a Saturday Night Live
so
video.
did I thought I didn't get to it yesterday, but I knew he was going to talk about it.
It looks like his dentures are about to fall out.
Yes.
And so
he's got like an 8 head. He's got this huge mop. His name is Sri Thanadar.
Yeah.
Congressman. I've never heard of him. I'm sure you know who he is.
I've never heard of him either, but do it. Absolutely impeach him.
Yes.
Just go out there and do the same thing that led him to be elected again.
Exactly.
Golly.
No, they've gone totally crazy. These people, and you know what? They've totally lost their confidence, too. They can't even tell a lunatic like this dumb guy that said it. And then you have the other one that's always with the cane. He's always impeaching. He raises his cane.
Al Green.
He always impeaches. But they have no control over those people. They have no control, and the reason is they've lost their confidence.
This is Congressman Sri Thanadar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy.
He rolls his R. He rolls his R there. When I heard it the first time, I was like, this is a joke here. I'm looking for the chroma key and looking, who is this?
But defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! So he's from Michigan apparently. But it's just that just return to the same thing that failed. It's like a dog that returns to his vomit. You're just like.
That's right. Do it.
You tried to impeach the guy again and again. They don't even have any grounds to impeach him at this point. They're just throwing it out there again. Oh my goodness.
You need to see the video with this guy with the rainbow flag. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh my goodness. That one is classic also. You said he's from Michigan, right? So if you check it out, it's great. It's great. I move on. Game 5, first round series. Clippers and Nuggets last night tied at 2 games apiece.
And now Murray for 3. Why not? Okay, Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray on fire last night. 43 points. Nuggets win big. 131-115. Tomorrow tomorrow at the Clippers, and then the Avalanche and the Stars tomorrow here in Lodo. They drop the puck at 7:30. Stars need to win to tie it up. Kelly Michaels will be happy if they can pull that one off tomorrow. 30, let's see, what do we have? 39 in Englewood, and we have 40 in Glendale and 40 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olsen, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Typical late April weather for Denver. Temperatures will be in the 60s today, partly cloudy. A couple of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Temperatures will make the 60s, near 40 tonight with showers ending. Near 70 Wednesday, partly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms late. And then overnight and into the day on Thursday, showers likely, cooler Thursday with highs only in the mid to upper 50s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're discussing How FEMA is going to create an open, gaping wound in the Denver budget, Colorado state budget. Like I'm going to this? Thank you. Appreciate this. Because they're yanking back $24 million in aid that was targeted for illegal immigration, and we know that is going to hurt. We know that an open wound is going to cause all sorts of problems. You can get infection from dirt, germs, and bacteria in there. See where I'm going with this? I'm talking to you about Wound Care Associates of Colorado. Yes, they're not going to be yanking money out of your funding for illegal immigration, but they want to take care of that slow healing cut, that diabetic ulcer, that pressure sore that maybe you or someone in your family or social circle is dealing with, because if you don't fix the problem, it can become a very, very, very big problem. Ignoring that wound doesn't mean it's going to go away, and so often, again, as we age, you heal a lot slower. Giving more time for those dirt, germs, and bacteria to get access to your body, and many times when you're getting wound treatment, they will try to maintain that wound, meaning leave it open so all the nasty things can get inside your body. That ain't cool. That's why Wound Care Associates of Colorado is changing the game. They go about it differently. When you contact them, coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com, they will set up a personalized treatment plan. But let me explain how it happens. First of all, their plan will promote faster healing, meaning that your skin and torn tissue is going to heal and prevent the dirt, germs, and bacteria from getting in. Kind of like when you keep the illegal immigrants out of the country in the first place. Just saying. Alrighty. Now, what you're going to do is you reach out to them, you talk to the Wound Care Associates of Colorado, and their wound-certified nurse practitioner will come to you when you set an appointment. Yes, that's different. They're going house call. You don't have to look at, let's see, where's the office? How long is it going to take me to get there? What about traffic? And I got to take this time off from this, and I got to do this. Or maybe you've got to go over and help a friend and drive them to the office and sit in the waiting room. And no. None of that. All of that is taken off the table because Wound Care Associates of Colorado does concierge service without concierge pricing. They come to you to set up the personalized treatment plan. All the treatment is done in the comfort, privacy, and convenience of your own home or your friend's home. Improved healing outcomes as well. Nobody's doing it better. Contact them today, coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com, to talk to Wound Care Associates of Colorado. And we trust them. They're working with my youngest daughter right now, and the results have been nothing short of amazing. When you reach out to them, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show. Back to you, Jeff.
That's great. The text message lines are hot. 720-819-5115. I think, Bill, that some of my Antifa friends are now joining this text message.
Hey, all right. They found the number. Excellent. That's good.
They're always welcome. They're always welcome.
I've been writing it in random bathrooms, so I'm glad that my effort is finally paying off.
Call or text Jeff.
Yeah, for good debate. Text, yeah.
720-819-5115. 720-819-5115 is the text line. Or give us a call at 303-696-1971. All right, the Federal Emergency Management Agency will no longer pay Denver about $24 million in promised grant money to cover what the city already spent to shelter migrants. According to a letter sent this month and reported on by the Denver Post, the Department of Homeland Security, consistent with President Trump's direction, is focused on advancing the essential mission of enforcing immigration laws and securing the border, says the letter obtained by the Denver Post. The city received the notice April 1st, but it wasn't made public until it was cited during a city council presentation by the city's Department of Finance on Monday. In response to a question from Councilwoman Chantel Lewis, Budget Director Justin Sykes mentioned the letter and said the department hasn't included canceled or possibly canceled federal grant dollars as it develops the upcoming 2026 city budget. FEMA awarded Denver $32 million, but has sent only about $8 million, leaving about $24 million unfulfilled. It's unclear if federal officials will also require Denver to return the money the federal government already gave the city. Denver intended to use the FEMA dollars to help offset what it spent to temporarily shelter an influx of about 43,000 migrants who arrived in the city between late 2022 and 2024, including many sent by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. So I want to pause right here because they make it sound like they just showed up. Whoa! Oh my goodness! Like a disaster that just comes upon you, a tornado or hurricane, an earthquake, we ended up with 45,000 illegal immigrants in our city. had nothing to do with the giant sign that hung outside Denver Civic Center where it said, "We heart immigrants." No. The city of Denver invited this issue upon us, proudly proclaimed we were a sanctuary city, put into practice systems to help illegal immigrants, and it became well known that the city of Denver was the place to go when you first got here, to the point where even the mayor at one point was now busing people out because we had so many. This was not just an emergency that fell upon us. This was something that the city of Denver created, and the city of Denver should pay for. Not Colorado taxpayers, and sure as heck not federal taxpayers paying for this. The city of Denver wants to do that. City of Denver wants to elect leaders. They're going to put their tax dollars towards illegal immigrants and cut services, by the way, to their own citizens. That's your problem. That's your fault. You live with it. The taxpayers of Elbert County, Douglas County, Aurora, who had nothing to do with your stupid policies, shouldn't be paying for it. And taxpayers out of Kansas and Nebraska sure as heck shouldn't be paying for it. That's my 2 cents on this. City of Denver, deal with it. President's right in this one. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, this one, it's difficult for me because I have a heart for what they're dealing with as far as illegal immigration. I understand the difficulties, but I also have a lot of difficulty justifying it necessarily as FEMA aid because under the purview of what we would imagine and where, again, if I was given the power where FEMA aid should be going towards, I'd have to be convinced that this would fall under that category. Now, I understand where you could make an argument about, well, we're having a whole bunch of illegal immigrants that we didn't expect and everything else, but the behavior of Denver saying sanctuary city to me prevents some of that argument because it becomes an advocacy to say you're safe here and we can provide the services. The other thing is where I believe that Mayor Mike Johnston is going to have a lot of difficulty with this is, again, this is my judgment, what I see as an abject failure of the process that he's put in place in order to mainstream these immigrants, legal, illegal, asylum seekers, whatever it is. That program that he put together, that he proudly announced and said, this is how we're going to get them into productive members of society. The numbers that I've seen so far have been a complete failure, not only on the accounting side, but also in the results of the number of immigrants that have been mainstreamed into the workforce in Colorado. That was the argument. We have to spend this money because then they become taxpayers. They are going to be able to do the work. We can talk about legal or illegal, but at least now they are net generators rather than net receivers. That hasn't happened based on the program. Now let's just play the pretend game for a second. If Mike Johnston was having tremendous success, that we are looking at something like 7 out of 10 of these immigrants are finding jobs and housing and are able to, the ones that would qualify, are able to start legally getting through the process of asylum, and that's adjudicated, and if we're moving that forward. But most importantly, it's the work and the providing for themselves. If they were having success, he could come to the feds and say, look at the results I am having. You may not want to spend X amount of dollars here. However, the net gain to my city of, instead of these people being a net draw, they are now a net revenue producer. And even though they are here and while they're going through their court case, and we can talk about deportations and we do this for the criminals, but look at the jobs and what they're doing. These are people that are now being taxpayers inside of our system, and they're going to the stores and they're going to the restaurants. Then he's got an argument. But right now, the numbers that we've seen, Mayor Johnston's program has been, my words, an abject failure. And where I point mostly is, 1, his BS accounting measures, 2, lack of being able to transition any of these people into meaningful work. Neither of those things are any good. So I can't make an argument for him to go to the feds to say, let me spend this money, even though I don't think it necessarily qualifies as FEMA money. But
Bill,
he's spending the money stupidly.
is fungible, so now the poor people of Denver are going to lose out. Listen to this. The city, which is counting on about $150 million in federal dollars for its 2025 budget, is following funding threats from the federal government closely. Since taking office in January, President Trump has threatened to withhold federal money of different kinds from cities seen as too supportive of illegal immigrants. New York has received a letter from FEMA on April 1st terminating $188 million in grants, according to the New York Times. Elsewhere, the Justice Department is suing Chicago over its policies that limit cooperation with immigration authorities. Now, in the next hour or two, we're going to talk with two lawmakers about how Denver's even doubling down on becoming a sanctuary state. Who do you blame for this? We're gonna end up with a big amount of money cut from the federal government. To me, this is all the Democrats doing, prioritizing the wrong people, the wrong issues. They're not taking care of. We talked about how Denver and Aurora were setting up this bet on which was going to be better. Mayor Mike Johnston going, no, immigrants are important to our community. We're going to be better because of them. We're going to spend our money with them, even if it means cutting resources and services to our own citizens. Aurora, on the other hand, Danielle Jurinsky and Mike Hoffman going, no, we're not going to cut a dime from the actual citizens and residents of our community in order to serve illegal immigrants. Now, with a Republican president like Donald Trump, who is prioritizing border security and mass deportations, serious money is going to be cut, not only from the city, but possibly from the state of Colorado. Who do you blame?
In this one, I lay it at the feet of the Democrats, and in part because your program sucks. It's hard to defend the program. That you have an argument. Again, I can see why some administrations would say this is what FEMA money goes to, and another administration would say this is not what FEMA money goes towards. And so I am okay with the federal government, whoever's in charge at that point, making constraints within reason. As long as you're not saying, well, we're not going to pay for hurricanes, we'll pay for earthquakes. That seems extreme. But the idea that maybe FEMA doesn't need to cover some of these illegal immigrant sanctuary city areas, okay, I can understand that argument. Agree or disagree is irrelevant at that point for me. It's just, okay, I can see why they get to make that choice. Okay, I'm fair with that. But the problem is, in this entire equation, is the abject failure of the program of trying to mainstream the immigrants, legal or illegal, because you wouldn't have such a large hole in the budget and you wouldn't have such a problem if you could turn them into actual taxpayers. And I'm not saying that, the fact that they would go out and work minimum wage jobs or above would necessarily fill the hole, but what it would show is the transition process is working. And so if we invest on the front end, what we get on the other side are people that are going to be taxpayers. I'm not going to say citizens per se, and maybe I'll blush that and say that later on in the hour, because they don't have necessarily voting rights. So I'm not going to go that far. But the idea of them being here, even as migrant workers, the farms that need them. Here are things inside of town that they have found a wonderful job in a Costco, everywhere else. And so what they're doing is they are becoming members of the community. They're doing the assimilation process that we are trying to get them to do. If you have those results inside of the program, you can point to it and say, this is why we need to keep going. The thing that pops into my mind is Step Denver. Step Denver isn't perfect. 100% of the men that enter their program do not graduate. They know that. But they've got a pretty damn good success rate given other federally funded programs. They don't take the money because they don't want the feds' rules and regulations. And so they've got success. They've got success.
And the reason they have success is because when you go fundraise, and I've had to fundraise for a think tank for 8 years, you have to when I sit down with you,
results.
I have to demonstrate results.
Yes.
Because I'm asking for your money, Mr. Donor, and if you're not going to see success, you're not going to give it, because typically people that have money to give away are good investors in other areas of their lives.
Normally, the people that have the money to give away didn't get there by giving all the money away.
Right. Well, they ran businesses, so they think in every aspect of their lives in investment terms. And so they're going to also give away their money and expect to see a return, not a financial return back to them, but a results-oriented return. And so when Step Denver sits down, they go, look at all the guys we got off the streets. When you're a taxpayer-funded event, they don't go, there's no one to show results to.
And that's the problem. And everyone that is in business will understand these three beautiful letters. ROI, return on investment. What is that ROI? What did you put in at the front end and what did you get out the back end? And was it deemed acceptable? And there could be a whole different bunch of ways that you can have that grading system on the tail end of it to figure out if your investment did get the return that you were looking for. It could be financial, it could be just results as far as number of people off the streets, number of people that are sober when you're talking about Step Denver. But I can't find anyone that can reasonably justify the ROI for Denver Mayor Mike Johnston's process to get illegal immigrants into the mainstream of society. His ROI sucks. You wouldn't make that investment. If you were an advertiser, you wouldn't go and advertise with him because he's not giving you the customers. If he was building left-handed widgets, you wouldn't go and invest in his company because his left-handed widgets suck and not producing enough of them. He just simply doesn't demonstrate the ROI, so it becomes incredibly hard to cry and complain about losing money, whatever money it is from the feds, because you can't justify on the front end that you were spending the money intelligently in a way that produced results. If you have the results, you can make the argument. He's got no results.
Boom. There you go. But $150 million coming from the federal government that's not going to be here next year in Denver? I mean, it could be up to 150. At this point, now it's $24 million that's being cut. Is this city going to get worse? Crime going to get worse? Those potholes going to get worse? You're going to see more businesses leave. Denver, very likely, is going to get worse as a result of these federal cuts coming. Who do you blame? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Campos Law text line, 720-819-5115. And is Mike Johnston just now going to go, not my fault?
Yeah.
It's the orange man over there who's not sending you any more money.
And the other one is based on the decisions that Mayor Mike Johnston is going to have to make and other people inside the city and county of Denver. Who's the priority? They're going to have to make some priorities. Everybody in these type of budget situations has to make a decision based on priorities. So you, our listeners, who do you think Denver Mayor Mike Johnston is going to make the priority? Remember, he's the mayor of Denver. Who's his priority?
That's a great question. I will tell you, if you ever get hurt in an injury crash, the person that will prioritize you the best out of everybody is Dan Capless and Dan Capless Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade, pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. He's right there with us on the values and has a track record of over 40 years serving people in Denver hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. And more than just being a great guy, listen to this record in the courtroom. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. In fact, Dan Capless Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Capless Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisslaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. We'll get to your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Is Donald Trump right to cut federal funding from Denver for being a sanctuary city? I put the poll up yesterday. Over 1,800 votes on this poll on X. If you go to x.com/Jeff Hunt, 98.8% saying yes, Donald Trump is right to cut federal funding from Denver for being a sanctuary city. At this point, 24 million up to 150 million on the chopping block. City of Denver is going to have to correct course and possibly cut some major services to its citizens if it wants to continue to fund its services to illegal immigrants. Common Sense Institute finding that since 2022, we've spent $356 million on illegal immigrants, on everything from housing to healthcare to education. So you're going to see the city of Denver take a hit, a pretty big one here. Who do you blame? Is it Donald Trump's fault? We have to serve. We're a compassionate city. We put this big banner up. Said, we heart immigrants. Or do you blame the Democrats leading these communities, the city of Denver, the state of Colorado? And we're going to pay one of the text messages from Doug. To quote another member of your team, you pay the band, you call the tune. If Denver wants the federal funds, they have to comply with federal requirements. Let's go to the phone lines. Dave and Divide. Good morning, Dave. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, guys. I've just noticed that these guys are all about predators, from letting guys be in women's locker rooms to having minors, get a sex change. Now they got this bill. They can take your kid away from you if you misgender him. We got Trende. We're supposed to look the other way to Trende or Agua. They're bringing wolves into our state again. Everything's fine till you're like we are, the cow surrounded by wolves, and they want us to pay for it is what's ridiculous. So,
yeah, I mean, Dave, to your point, I pointed this out about Hannah Dugan. This is the judge out of Wisconsin, I think it was, that's been charged with 2 federal counts on allegations of trying to help an illegal alien avoid arrest. The illegal alien that she helped is Eduardo Flores Ruiz, who has been deported. He had been deported previously, 2013. He was recently arrested and charged with 3 misdemeanor counts of domestic battery. Now, this judge has just given up her career and could face jail time for some innocent dude. No, some guy that had been charged with 3 counts of domestic battery. What is with progressives always siding with these predators, as you point out?
It doesn't make sense. I think it's like, look at the anger they have over Tesla and what's happening, how phony that is. They're just mad because their cash cow's getting dried up.
Yeah, I do remember people shooting Bud Light cans though over something similar, right? I mean, we weren't going to do Bud Light at all because of that, and so I think there's kind of a horse apiece on that one. But the thing Dave, I understand where you're coming from based on the predators, but the problem that kind of got sideways with me was the idea that you're talking about the transgender people in women's bathrooms or the sex change operations. How do you view that as being predatory behavior?
I heard a young lady talking about some guy who wasn't even changing in the locker room, just ogling everyone, and she gets to the point of tears. That's a predator. messing with a poor gal who's just trying to do her sports thing and get in her locker room. And the sex change stuff is irreversible. They're not telling these kids. You know, hey, it's okay.
No, they do.
Some of it,
yeah,
but
no, the kids know. I mean, the kids. That's
okay,
part of
what
part of the process they go through. I'm not saying that I wouldn't cut the kids either. I don't think the kids should have surgery, but the kids go through tons of mental health evaluations and a bunch of other evaluations before any surgery, and even before hormones are given. There's therapy and a bunch of other evaluations. But I'm not sure about that. The predator and the singular example you gave, that seems to be predatory behavior, but that could be done even at a person sitting at a bar or at a swimming pool or anywhere else. It doesn't necessitate someone being transgender for that behavior to necessarily occur.
I'm just saying it's the same thing as making you do these pronoun stuff. They want you to do something you don't want to do. They want to make an old person like me do something that get used to doing things that I don't like allowing predators. I heard the wolf died the other day. I hope somebody shot it. I'm out here in the woods. I got surrounded by a bunch of cats with quads and stuff. Now, and I'm just camping, and they decided they had come right up to me. Now, these are Latino guys, and there's good and bad in all races. I ain't saying it's just Latino. But I ended up having to go up against these guys just to have the right to be in the woods. So, I'm not messing around anymore. You're going to let predators come in. Hey, it's like Jesse Kelly says, you voted for this. Sorry, guys. You voted for this Mike Johnson cat who wants to open up Denver. Denver should pay for it. You're right. Nobody else should have to pay for it. And Polis is the champion of predators. Let's bring wolves in. He wants us to it's ridiculous.
All right, Dave, appreciate the call. Dave's line is open. Dave from Divide, 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Do you agree with Dave that the progressives seem to want to coddle, favor, pay for predators, whether it's wolves or illegal immigrants, cartels, to come into our communities? Why do they do that at the expense of the citizens they're voted to elect?
And should those predators just come together and instead say it's a political rally and attack a government building and say, then it's okay, then we can give them pardons and celebrate them and have them sing songs and show up at the Kennedy Center? We could do that as well. I'm just saying that sometimes how we define what and who may be a predator might be a little bit situational at times, just a little.
Join the conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Look, guys, if you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best. Modern technology with top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration from the experience itself to their unmatched results. You got a receding hairline, bald spot, or thinning hair? Address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments, and get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. AdvancedHair.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. Big cuts coming to the city of Denver because of its commitment to being a sanctuary city. Who do you blame? You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Major cuts coming to the city of Denver from the federal government because of our commitment to being a sanctuary city. At least $24 million being cut now, up to $150 million possibly later. What's going to happen to the city's budget as a result of that? Is the mayor and the city council going to double down on being a sanctuary city? They're going to start to now actually work with the federal government when it comes to illegal immigrants. Let's go to the phone lines. Brian in Arvada. Good morning, Brian. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. A few weeks ago, you had an intro to the show that said, tastes great, less filling. And that's really how I feel about the show. You know, Jeff tastes great and Billy's less filling.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
And so, yeah, but what I want to say is, you know, Denver gets what they deserve. And I stopped going to Denver years ago. You know, it's the road to homeless was the first thing that Hickenlooper screwed us over with. And then now letting all these illegal aliens, and yeah, they are illegal aliens. They're not undocumented. They're violent illegal aliens. And to compare them, Billy, to the handful of people that committed crimes on J6 is absolutely insane. Nobody died. Nobody was murdered. Nobody was raped like these violent illegal aliens are doing to our children. Fentanyl wasn't passed around like Tic Tacs on that day, like these illegal aliens are spreading all over our youth and our adults in America. With one or two people dying a day.
I understand.
So don't even try to compare it, Billy.
No,
it's disingenuous.
No, Brian,
and it's so false.
No.
So tell that to a mother. Tell that to a mother whose daughter was raped and murdered by one of these people. That's the same as J6. Tell that to a mother, Billy.
Hang on here. Here's the issue that I acknowledge that some of the illegal immigrants here in the country have done awful things, just like some, not all of the people that showed up at J6 did awful things. There was a small minority in both populations. The only reason that I was bringing it up as an example is, in some cases, how we define predatory behavior can be dependent upon our politics. And I hold both Democrats and Republicans responsible on both sides. There are some predatory behaviors that Democrats will excuse because of their politics, and we have real-world demonstrations recently of Republicans excusing what I would consider to be predatory behavior based on politics. And I think it's fair. I'm not saying they're 100% alike, but I'm saying on that basis, it seems to be a fair comparison and analysis that oftentimes we allow our politics to determine our truth.
Yeah, that's what you just did when you compared them to the J6 rioters, the minor people that were violent. That's exactly what you just did.
And I told you why. And I justified it because there are a minority of the illegal immigrants that come in here and do the awful, horrible things. There were only a handful of people that beat the police on the day of January 6th, and there are a handful of illegal immigrants that come in and kill people. Yes, absolutely horrible. Not excusing either one of them.
You're right, but a handful out of 10 million is how many, Billy, predators that the Democrats led into this country to wreak havoc on our civilians.
Yeah. And Donald Trump said it was okay that people on January 6th beat police. He said that was okay and gave them full pardons. People that were convicted of seditious conspiracy.
It was a fraction,
Brian,
Billy.
People that were seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government. That's significant, and it was a small number of people. Yes, neither behaviors are okay.
You can't overthrow the government, Billy, without arms.
Okay.
You can't overthrow the government by marching. You just can't do it. So,
Brian, you know
if the argument that was an attempt to overthrow the government is so it's so fake and baloney that
Brian, they had a plan. They brought up the plan.
10 people had a plan, Billy.
They had a plan. They met about it. They had a plan, and they had weapons. Come on,
do you think it was ever going to happen, Billy?
What? The way they did it? No, not at all. No.
Yeah. So what if they had a plan? It was never serious. 5 people could have a plan to do something stupid, and it doesn't categorize a bunch of people.
It was serious.
So
they
the
showed up with
Democrats,
weapons. Brian, they showed up with weapons. It was serious. It was serious.
The Democrats are a party of predators. And absolutely to its point, Billy, when there's gentlemen going into bathrooms, oogling people and oogling little girls. Those are predators, and that's the thing, Billy. You want to make it okay for that behavior to occur.
Nope.
I want to make sure it doesn't occur.
Nothing stopping
and
that from
allowing
happening right now, Brian.
a
Nothing will happen.
biological male to enter into private spaces of women allows the possibility for it to occur. And I don't want to increase that possibility for my daughter, for your daughter, for anyone's daughter. And to make an argument for that, you're on the losing side of two arguments.
No, I'm not. Brian, got a question. Brian, got a question for you. On those bathrooms, those locker rooms, are there any locks on those bathroom doors or locker rooms currently? Any locks at all on any of them? Any locks? Any locks on those? Okay.
No.
So there's
any
nothing,
man can enter.
So yes, any man can enter it, Brian. Any man can enter the bathroom.
But to make it okay, I don't want to make it okay.
The idea is you're assuming negative behavior based on an individual identifying as trans. It's disgusting. No.
I don't want to make it okay, Billy.
There's nothing preventing it.
Anybody can walk into anybody's private space. I just don't accept it.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, that's exactly it. Anybody can walk into the private space, regardless. It doesn't take them putting on a dress to do it. That's the point. But yet we say because someone puts on a dress,
that culturally
now they're a
we're
predator.
saying men can now enter women's safe spaces just because they identify as a woman.
Listen, I have been clear on the idea that I have problems with the bathroom and the locker rooms, and I believe women should be allowed to make a lot of those choices, and that's not my purview to make the choice. However, where I'm pushing back is the assumption that because someone is transgendered and walked into the bathroom or locker room, they are a predator. That's where Brian was, and that's what I hear out of you, Jeff, that because they're trans,
Billy, don't
they're predators.
I never said that.
Yes,
I said I don't want to make it okay for any biological male to walk into any bathroom for any situation, for any reason. I don't want to make it okay. For any reason. That's where we disagree. For any reason, I don't want a biological male going into the bathroom with my daughter or my daughter's locker room. For any reason.
Brian, appreciate the call. Brian from Arvada. His line will be open, 303-696-1971. The debate is happening here this morning. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS. We've got a great hour coming up for you. We're going to talk to two state representatives, Representative Carlos Barron and Representative Ron Weinberg, about Senate Bill 25-276. You thought we were a sanctuary state already. Oh, they're doubling down, cementing Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status. This was before the House yesterday. Lots of debate. Ron Weinberg even having to deal, he's the Jewish Republican down there, with Democrats equating ICE with Nazis. And Ron Weinberg had lost family members in the Holocaust. He's going to join us, along with Carlos Barron, to talk about what happened in the House yesterday. You're not going to want to miss this conversation. It's just wild. But now is time for Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen, news and comment.
Good morning, hump day. 49 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 69 today. The 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story: protesters are demanding answers after the DEA rounded up 114 party people in the country illegally and detained during a weekend raid on the underground nightclub in the Springs. Tim Haney is one of the dozens who took part in a rally Tuesday outside the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
We're looking for due process now for everybody, as stated in the Constitution, and then also we're looking for transparency. Where are they? All right, what's their status? We don't like being held in the dark. There are family members, loved ones out there that need to know.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe don't go to an illegal underground nightclub at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
If you really care about where your family members are,
yeah, that'd be a good
how
idea.
about
How
you
about
stop
staying
that? Where's my daughter? Well, did you know where she was at 3:30 in the morning on a Saturday night? No, but now I really care.
Yeah, and did you know there was pink cocaine there?
Right.
And a whole and prostitution. Sounds like a safe
I mean, this
place.
is the question I ran into down at the last protest. These people so concerned about due process. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. I get concern about due process. I do. It's in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
You had no concern about process when it came to them first coming to our country illegally to begin with.
That's right.
Yeah, just come across the border. By the way, here's an ATM card and a lawyer and some workforce training and an apartment.
That's right.
But now that we want to try to get them out, it's like similar to the book issue that they're dealing with in Elizabeth, where these books that are totally wildly inappropriate end up in the library. But now that you want to try to get them out, they fight like hell.
God.
And so this is important for conservatives to learn. This is how progressives operate.
Yep.
They will sneak stuff in and then fight like hell when you try to get it out. They're not about transparency. They're not about process when it comes to introducing inappropriate books or illegal immigrants into our communities. But once you try to get them out, oh, well, now we're into process.
Right. All of a sudden, just greasy cheaters, and they hate America. Yes, you do. You hate America. ICE took those individuals into custody. Those specific charges have not been released. Demonstrators questioned whether due process is being upheld, as Jeff said, calling the arrests unconstitutional. ICE officials pushed back on Tuesday, insisting all the detainees are afforded legal rights. They're treating them better than human beings have ever been treated in their life. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Would you like this? Please. They are here illegally.
I would like to just say over and over again, to dispel the rumors of due process, that is not true. We afford due process to everybody that's in our custody per the law.
Absolutely. Robert Coltrip, and he's from ICE. The U.S. is prosecuting illegals who enter the country through a newly created military zone along the southern border in New Mexico. Court filings submitted Monday show that the Department of Justice is charging at least 28 people with violations of security regulations for entering the zone. Multiple states, including Colorado, suing the DJT administration because that's what we do here in Colorado over the recent cuts to AmeriCorps. The AmeriCorps program, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser explains the latest legal moves.
1,000 people in Colorado are part of the AmeriCorps. We get millions of dollars of grants. All that's going to be shut down unilaterally by the executive branch in violation of the law. That's why we're in court.
The lawsuit called for the cuts in an unauthorized decision by the administration to dismantle AmeriCorps. They say these actions will lead to major impacts on education, public safety, and overall community needs. Governor Polis shared a similar sentiment. TMZ reporting that John Elway, his friend Jeff Spurbeck, and their wives, they were leaving the Stagecoach Music Festival on Saturday in California when Spurbeck fell from a golf cart and hit his head. Spurbeck, who's also Elway's longtime agent and business partner, was reportedly on life support and in grave condition at a Palm Springs hospital. Some reports indicate that Elway was driving the cart, though that has not been confirmed. DJT is claiming the first 100 days of his second term are the most successful among any administration ever. I agree. Today, Trump will meet with CEOs from major companies who have all pledged to spend money on U.S. projects. Man, I need some Stephen Miller.
I love this guy.
I need some Stephen Miller. Let's go on a Wednesday.
There is nobody smarter or tougher than Stephen Miller. Stephen, say it.
Let's go, Stephen.
Who's enjoying 100 golden days of America?
Yeah!
President Trump has achieved the most secure border in American history. He's fighting violent crime. He's fighting the drug cartels. He's cutting your taxes. He's cutting wasteful spending. He's draining the swamp. He's standing up to the radical left. He's standing up to the communists, and he's making America stronger than it's ever been. President Trump will never stop fighting for you, your children, and your family, and President Trump will make sure that in this country, not illegal aliens, not criminals, not gangbangers, but American citizens come first, last, and always. Thank you. And thank you, President Trump, for being the greatest president in American history.
Love it. Game 5, Clippers and Nuggets last night.
Did you ever go back and watch Stephen Miller's interviews around the Duke lacrosse stuff?
No.
Okay, go take some time to do that. Okay, so he was a journalist at Duke at the time.
I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only guy calling BS on Mike Nifong and the prosecution of the Duke lacrosse players.
Oh, wow.
He was way out there ahead of everybody else, and he got that one exactly right.
That is beautiful.
Dude, he's been
I've got
that
to check
good
that out.
since
I'm
that
glad
early.
You told me that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh, that is so cool. Nothing like Stephen Miller. Nothing like Stephen Miller. All right, game 5, that is. Nuggets and Clippers last night, tied at 2 apiece.
And now Murray for 3. Why not? Okay, Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray, like Stephen Miller, on fire, 43 points. Nuggets win big, 131-115 tomorrow at the Clippers. Avs and Stars tomorrow at 7:30. They drop the puck. It is 49 in Denver, 47 in Boulder, and 46 in North Glen. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olsen, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Typical late April weather for Denver. Temperatures will be in the 60s today, partly cloudy. A couple of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Temperatures will make the 60s, near 40 tonight with showers ending. Near 70 Wednesday, partly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms late. And then overnight and into the day on Thursday, showers likely, cooler Thursday with highs only in the mid to upper 50s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Senate Bill 276, cementing Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status, made it through the House yesterday. And it was quite of a debate in the committee hearings. And to give us some perspective, Representative Carlos Barron joins the Jeff and Bill show. Good morning, Representative.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you boys doing this morning?
Let's talk about what this bill does. Give us some insight into what 276 does to the state of Colorado.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm a freshman legislator this year, but this bill is one of a list of bills I've been going through this legislation in the past years, just cementing, further solidifying the wrongful status of being a sanctuary state here in Colorado. And of course, this specific one basically basically handcuffs our local authorities on being able to work with ICE agents in the federal government trying to conduct their immigration laws here in the state. Basically, it's just one of those steps which I don't know if it's going to be the final step, but it's one of those steps that they've been inching towards just making this a sanctuary state, basically.
Let's read some of these specifics here. It first repeals a requirement that illegal aliens must submit an affidavit stating that they have either applied to remain in the U.S. legally or will apply as soon as they're eligible when the person is applying for in-state tuition or an identification document. So, to Bill's point, oftentimes when people were coming here, he wanted to separate out those that were seeking asylum versus those that were just here illegally. This essentially repeals that requirement that they have to submit an affidavit saying that they were going to remain in the U.S. legally or will apply to remain here illegally. Now they can just get in-state tuition or a driver's license without having to do that, right?
That is correct. So right now, the funding, we just got done with the long bill about a month ago, and the funding for undocumented driver's license right now in the state is $1.7 million. And it's just ridiculous how we're pushing this agenda to want them to stay here illegally when we should be focusing on helping the federal government and pushing the federal government to find a more streamlined process for them to become part of this country. And that's the points that I'm trying to push as an immigrant myself, and that my family and I went through the legal process of becoming citizens, and now I have the honor of serving my constituents in House District 48. That we want to endorse being a part of this country and going through the legal process. We understand that the immigration process it makes it a little difficult and kind of pushes that away for these people. They really don't want to do it because it takes so much time, takes so much energy, and then it's not a for sure thing that's going to be done. But that's something that we want to be able to fix at the federal level. Here in the state, we don't have those powers. We shouldn't be touching those powers of immigration. We should be helping the federal government do that for us and giving them ideas of how to do it. At this moment right now, the budget for illegal immigrants here in the state, which is taxpayer money, is over a little over $500 million, which is $554 million of funding going towards illegal immigration. That, to me, is saying, hey, if you stay here illegally, you're going to be taken care of. It's further pushing that narrative to where people don't want to go through the process of becoming legal, and they're still going to be taken care of. So this is something that we were trying to battle. We were trying to portray that this is not the right way to do it. We're focusing on the wrong issues. We should be focusing on helping these people and helping these people want to go through the legal process.
That's Carlos Barron, a Colorado representative, joining us on the Jeff and Bill Show with regards to Senate Bill 276 that cements Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status. Now, it has a lot to do with peace officers as well. So it prohibits a jail custodian from delaying a defendant's release for any time period for the purpose of an immigration enforcement operation. So you get arrested into a county jail. ICE says, hey, that guy is an illegal immigrant. We would like to pick him up. Can you please hold him for us so we can have time to get down to the jail to grab him? No, not allowed to do that. Then it prohibits a peace officer or employee or agent of a detention facility from allowing federal immigration authorities access to a part of the detention facility that is not accessible to the public unless required by a federal warrant or writ to transfer an inmate to or from federal custody. So we all remember that video where they basically let the illegal immigrant out the front door and the dude took off, and it was like one of those cartoons, those old-timey cartoons where the police and the robber running around a parking lot. The police had to subdue the guy in the parking lot after he took off, and everybody just raised the question, why not just put him in the room and allow ICE to come in and take him from there? These Democrat lawmakers want to specifically threaten the lives of ICE agents, DEA agents, any federal agent that's there to pick them up by allowing them to be released out the front door, given a head start, and then these agents have to chase them down. This is wildly reckless. You heard the testimony in the committee. Tell me about what Democrats are hoping to achieve here at this point.
Well, in a testimony, one of the bill sponsors basically said that she's comparing these ICE operations to the Holocaust, which is wildly ridiculous. It is wildly ridiculous that she thinks that this is happening, that the ICE agents are making people disappear. That is far from the truth. And to be honest, she basically says she's trying to protect these people from becoming, just being lost. It's one of those arguments that you can't really compare the Holocaust to what's going on here. And now I looked over at one of my colleagues and I didn't know that the Germans were deporting people during World War II, and that's just ridiculous. And to be honest, this is one of those things that are coming from past bills. They're trying to solidify these past bills, and then one of them is SB 21, which had 2021-1194, which earmarked $100,000 to pay for legal representation for illegal immigrants. It has grown since then to this year to $700,000, and now it's looking to be grown even more with the fines imposed by violations on 276. So in 276, it's a taxpayer legal aid for unlawful presence, because it imposes a $50,000 fine on government employees, which these government programs are funded by taxpayer money. And that's going to go into, it basically gets funneled into those fines to legal defense fund. So from $100,000 in 2021 to $700,000 this year, and then going to be grown more with this bill. So it's just basically a taxpayer-funded legal aid funnel.
Wow, we're talking to Carlos Barron. He's a state representative here in Colorado about bills to secure Colorado's status as a sanctuary state. Now, Carlos, I got to ask you, the president's making this a priority to shut down the border and then engage in mass deportations, essentially enforce our immigration laws. And Democrats in Colorado seem to want to poke the bear with this. I mean, we're going to lose all federal funding with the direction that they're going. We're seeing that the city of Denver's already had $24 million cut, possibly up to $150 million cut. We're going to lose serious money coming to the state from the federal government, and the Democrats down at the state capitol just seem to want to poke the bear and go, oh yeah, you want to threaten sanctuary states? We're going to even get more sanctuary statey on you, and it's going to affect average people here. What are Democrats thinking?
Yeah, we try to argue these points at the well all the time, and they seem to either not care, don't believe it, or they think, oh, we're doing the right thing. In the end game, it's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine. This taxpayer money that's going towards all these fundings for illegal undocumented immigrants is a lot of money. $544 million. Just think about that, of taxpayer money, when there are people in the state that are legally here that are suffering in the underfunded education system, the underfunded healthcare system, but all this money is going towards undocumented immigrants. And that's the thing, is that I tried during the long bill to take out a third of the health care of $96 million for illegal immigrants. I tried to take out $34 million to transfer it over to K through 12 education, and it was voted down.
Oh, that's Carlos Barron. He's a state representative here in Colorado. Now, Carlos, tell me about your own personal perspective on this. You immigrated to this country. You were young. You watched your parents go through the process. Your family has built, from what I understand, a successful oil and gas company in this state. You work with that. You have been elected by a Republican district. Talk to us about how you're hearing from immigrant advocate organizations, for instance, saying that illegal immigration is important for our state. You're elected by Republicans who have made it a priority to end illegal immigration and engage in mass deportations. Tell me from your own personal perspective how you're dealing with all this.
Well, the only time I ever hear about illegal immigration being important is here in this building. But when I'm out in my district, it's a highly Hispanic district as well. I hear from people that are here legally, that have gone through the process, and they see this happening. Like, why didn't we get this? How unfair is this that we're over here working our butts off to try to make ends meet, pay our taxes, and then that tax money goes to people who just recently crossed the border? They find it unfair, and I talk to a lot of them that find it unfair, and I know there's a lot of them that have compassion, and there is some sort of compassion, but just like before you take a flight, you take the pre-flight safety, you listen to the pre-flight safety talk, and it says, put your mask on before you help others. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to put our mask on before we can help others. I know there's going to be a point where we can be compassionate, but right now is not the time when people are suffering, when people can't afford the basic necessities of life. So this is what we're trying to do with this. And a lot of the people, and the Hispanic people that I talk to, they see this as unfair, and we should be helping ourselves first.
We're talking with Carlos Barron. He's a state representative here in Colorado. Now, this passed through the committee just this week and is heading to appropriations today. I imagine you guys are going to be debating this on the floor of the House soon. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I believe that's going to appropriations first, and this bill might be coming to the House floor at the earliest at the end of this week. We're probably going to be working through the weekend since we only have 7 days left in session, and yeah, we're going to be arguing this and battling this on the House floor for a while.
That's Representative Carlos Barron joining Jeff and Bill. He's representative talking about Senate Bill 276, District 48. He's talking about the illegal immigration and basically would codify a lot of Colorado's sanctuary status. Now, Representative Barron, you were talking about the idea of following the proper way to get immigration status and legal immigration status into the U.S. What I'm kind of wondering is how come we don't really ever see proposals that streamline or make that immigration status better and more tenable? And the reason is because I feel the way and the weight that the process works now is actually an incentivization for illegal immigration. And what I mean by that is if you were in another country and you had a 4-year-old and you knew that gangs were going to be a problem, waiting until your kid is 14 to come to America, 14 might be too late. You could lose that kid already. And we've always talked about the idea that the process for immigration takes a decade. Do you feel that our immigration system, one, should be fixed, needs to be fixed, and two, does it incentivize illegal immigration?
Most definitely, you hit the nail on the head right there. It is incentivizing, and we should fix the immigration process. That's one thing that I do believe in, and I'm trying to push. I'm drafting up a letter to send to the immigration office in D.C. Drafting up the letters to my congressmen, and trying to set up a meeting so we can talk about this and we can try to fix this immigration process. It takes way too long. Some people waited 20 years to become a legal resident or even a citizen of this country. And we believe, while keeping the vetting process in place, which is very important, we need to know who's coming in. We need to know their intentions. We just can't let somebody that wants to harm this country, harm people in this country, come in. But to streamline this process, to have an incentive for those people to want to go through the process legally, and that's what we really want. And we understand that this country is built on immigrants. I'm one of those examples, and we want those people to go through the process legally, but we need to streamline the process. So it's one of those things that I'm a big advocate for, and that I'm going to continue to be an advocate for, and I'm going to try to push that to the federal government.
As you push that, Representative Barron, the door is always going to be open here at the Jeff and Bill Show, because we want to follow you on that journey. And imagine it this way, is that people sitting around and saying, no, we need to make sure it's difficult to get in and be a actual legal resident of the U.S. Imagine if we would take some of the support systems that we are offering the illegal immigrants and instead focus them on newly minted immigrants. And what I'm saying by that is, what if we took the housing support, the educational support, the legal support, and some of the financial support, and instead focus that on some of these newer immigrants? We streamline the process, and instead of spending the money on the illegal immigrants, getting them job training and everything else, we spend it on the brand new American citizens, making an investment on the people that are now here and going to be singing the national anthem with all of us. It'd make a hell of a lot more sense, but yet again, we don't always make sense when we're making governmental decisions. And we're hoping on you to help change that, Representative Barron. But I appreciate it. And let us know on your journey. Keep in touch with us. And we want to walk with you on that one. That would be important.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm more than willing to do that. So whenever you have any questions, you can always give me a call. My phone is always available for you guys.
That's Carlos Barron, state representative, talking about Senate Bill 276, cementing Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status. We appreciate your time today. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Senate Bill 276, cementing Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status. Yesterday, when this was heard before a committee, representatives compared our current government, ICE, people working for the federal government, to Nazis with regards to mass deportations and securing our border, all while sitting there was a Jewish Republican member of the State House whose family was lost during the Holocaust. Do they have no shame? To give us a sense now of what that was like was the Jewish member that was sitting there. Representative Ron Weinberg joins the Jeff and Bill Show. Good morning, Representative.
Good morning, guys. Good to be here.
You had to deal with this last session. You're now dealing with it now. Just these progressives that, one, I think are openly anti-Semitic, but then comparing your party, comparing our government to the atrocities of the Holocaust is not only inappropriate and wildly misguided, it's terrible. And you have to sit there and listen to this. What were your thoughts yesterday?
It's just unbelievable how you would dare try to dilute such a serious situation such as the Holocaust.
I agree with you. I mean, you had, 12 million people lost? You had experimentations, the mass murder, all that stuff. You're comparing it to the federal government trying to enforce immigration laws. What's going on in the minds of these progressives? You work with them. You're watching them. And last year, you had to deal with Elizabeth Epps and Tony Hernandez shouting at you from the gallery. What's it like to be down there?
It's the narrative. Once they use their keywords, they capture the attention of their base, and that's all they attributed to. Trump is Adolf Hitler. The Republican Party is a bunch of Nazis. It's just their talking points. It's their playbook. There's no rhyme or reason behind it besides for capturing the attention of their base.
And I want to talk to you as a Jewish man because anti-Semitism on the rise. We're seeing the report coming from Harvard that, yes, Jewish students were being bullied and intimidated and harassed during all the protests that took place last summer. And you have report after report about how Jews are being treated throughout the world. Today is Jewish Independence Day. Give us an update on the state. How is Israel doing? How are Jews across the world dealing with anti-Semitism? Give us a little insight on that.
Yeah, it's rampant. It's completely up. They did ADL did statistics for the state of Colorado. Anti-Semitism is up. I'll tell you one thing. The note of positivity with Israel is thank God for the Trump administration and Donald J. Trump being our president. That's going to put a complete blanket over Israel for protection. So I'm grateful that Trump's our president. Here in the state, it's definitely going wild, and we just had Holocaust Memorial last week. So the fact that Representative Garcia even brought this up in committee a week after we were just memorializing the people that had perished during the Holocaust, which were two of my great-grandparents shot in the street in Germany, my grandmother's brother who was thrown into an oven in Auschwitz. To bring this stuff up a week after is just insensitive and disgusting, all in the same sentence.
That's Representative Ron Weinberg you're hearing from. Now, one of the things I pointed out is that they feel no shame. There's no consequence to their actions. Not only do you have this referring to ICE agents, the Trump administration, or hardworking federal employees to Nazis, you have state representatives and senators drunk down at the state capitol. We've seen numerous videos of them just playing video games while the business of serving the people is taking place. And then I saw a video the other day. They took petitions that were delivered to them, cut them up into little snowflakes, and threw them around the office. They don't care. They don't face any retribution, any problems, any punishment at all for what they're doing down there because the state is so wildly progressive. So long as you got a D next to your name, you're going to get elected again. I mean, what is it like to work among colleagues that don't feel any form of retribution for the insanity, for the irresponsibility they bring down to the state capitol and clearly not serving the people that they should be, that they're collecting a paycheck from.
It's disheartening. There's no checks and balance. They have the legislative branch of government. They have the executive branch of government. They have the judicial branch of government. In a nutshell, the House, the Senate, the governor, and the Supreme Court is all heavily owned by the Democratic Party in the state of Colorado. And I'll tell you honestly, if it wasn't for, Assistant Minority Leader Ty Winner or the Minority Leader Rose Puglisi or people like Jarvis Caldwell, who I consider very close, it would be hard to continue the job. So we fight every day. That's how job is, to go down there and make sure, we will say whatever we can to represent our districts, band together as brothers and sisters on the House floor. We take it pretty hard every day. With 7 days left of session, we're about to have a really rough next 7. But in a nutshell, it's disheartening. But we put that armor of God on every morning. We take it seriously, and we go there and we fight for the voices that seem to be left behind.
Well, I want to ask you what the next 7 days are going to look like. People aren't lawmakers that are listening to this. They're not quite sure what it's going to look like when Democrats who have an agenda and only 7 days left are going to ram through as many progressive bills as they possibly can. They're going to change the rules to shorten debate. They're going to make you work late into the night, over the weekends, all of this. This is a sprint to the finish line, not for the benefit of the people of Colorado, but to deliver for progressive organizations like the ACLU and Planned Parenthood, who have paid the campaigns to get these folks elected, give people an insight into what the next 7 days are going to look like for you.
So we've heard rumors of a bill called the Armory Bill, which will limit how many weapons will be allowed to be owned by a citizen in the state of Colorado. We haven't seen it yet, but we're hearing it's going to pop up at the last minute. Obviously, there's immigration bill that's going to come through, which we're going to fight tooth and nail on it. On a side note there, I don't think people realize $455.5 million goes to illegal immigrants in the form of driver's licenses, in the form of legal fees. It's absolutely insanity. We're with a state that we had to balance the budget with $1.4 billion as a shortfall, but we're spending $455 million on illegal immigrants that are not here and that have already broken the law. And, I'm an immigrant from South Africa, so it took me and my family 15 plus years to become a citizen in this country. We had no handouts from the governments like this. This is unheard of, and this is why the state is in a huge deficit, huge hole. And the next 7 days are just going to be more social programs, more infringement rights on abortion, more infringing rights on your Second Amendment, more infringing rights on the Constitution. It's going to be unbelievable.
That's Representative Ron Weinberg talking about bills that are going to be introduced in this last week and the bill yesterday, Senate Bill 276, cementing Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status. Now, Representative, I'm going to ask you the same question we spoke with Representative Barron. The Trump administration has made securing our border, mass deportations, and enforcing our immigration laws one of their top priorities. The state of Colorado, being led by Democrats, has made it their priority to oppose that, to cement our sanctuary status. That is going to cost Colorado taxpayers millions of dollars as federal aid is going to be cut from it. What are Democrats thinking at this point? They're just willing to give up all these programs, all these services, all the money, not to the benefit of the citizens of Colorado, but to the illegal immigrants that are coming to the state. What are they thinking as you're listening to this? What are they saying to you?
Yeah, first let me give a huge shout out to Carlos Barron. He's a new legislator who's absolutely fantastic. I'm proud to call him a friend. But just to get back to your question, they're out of their minds when Biden dropped out and Kamala was the front runner. I mean, look at the Democratic Party right now. They're putting AOC at the forefront of the Democratic Party. They have lost their minds. Their party is a complete disarray. My opinion on this is what's happening is that they see the writing on the wall, that people are paying attention, and they see that these failed policies that are leading the state to complete trash are actually being recognized by people at this point. So this is their lost moment before, next year's our governor races, our attorney generals, and our treasurer, all this. So I think they see the writing on the wall. So this is kind of their last moment of they need to cram this all down the pipe as fast as they can while they have still control over everything. So, but they're out of their minds. They've lost it, and it's hurting the people of the state in the long run.
I mean, it is. It's a wild time to live in Colorado. Went to the Bernie rally, 30,000 people down there. They want a more progressive wing. They want these types of policies. And the state's going to seriously pay as a result of it. We're already seeing it take place. Representative Ron Weinberg, a very happy Israel Independence Day to you. Thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys and everything you do.
Thank you. All right, I want to talk to you about our friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau. Whether you pulled out your skis or snowmobiles this last winter, it was a great year for winter fun. But the snow means even more to Colorado agriculture, and I want you to know that our state's farmers and ranchers are doing their part to protect our future water resources. The people of Colorado agriculture always have conservation, efficiency, and reuse top of mind when it comes to water use. As the metro area continues to grow, Colorado Farm Bureau leads talks with state policymakers about preserving water for all areas of the state as pressure on the water system grows. It's going to take all of us to find a solution. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families, and they're doing more with less. You can do your part. Join the great people of the Colorado Farm Bureau by becoming a member today. All you got to do, go to coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com. Support the farmers and ranchers that are putting food on your table and having to deal with all the crazy policies coming from downtown Denver. Support Colorado Farm Bureau by going to coloradofarmbureau.com. All right, we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. How does it make you feel? We're cementing our sanctuary status. We're going to make the lawmaker, or the ICE, the DEA, federal law enforcement agents, chase these guys around parking lots? Please help me make it make sense. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Talking with Talking with two state legislators about Senate Bill 276 that's going to cement Colorado's illegal immigration sanctuary status. Bill, I feel like that Office scene where Michael is dating Pam's mom and Pam gets very angry and then Michael just goes, well, I'm going to date her even harder.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just to like poke the bear, right? So Trump not messing around on border security, immigration law, mass deportation. No, this is his thing. And now he's already said he's going to cut $24 million from the city of Denver. And Colorado lawmakers are like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? We're going to even go harder on our sanctuary status, Mr. President. Voters of Colorado, who do you think they're going to blame when those serious cuts start coming and affecting the rest of us?
I don't know, and it depends, because the only thing that I would put on the other side of it, I understand that you're looking at, we've got to blame the Democrats and why aren't we become a more conservative state, but you in the last conversation with Representative Weinberg, and we really appreciate his time here, cited the 30,000 that showed up for the Bernie AFC rally.
Question, yeah.
And the question I look at is, who outside of Donald J. Trump could you bring to Colorado to pull 30,000? I don't think J.D. Vance would.
Yeah. Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I can't think.
No, I think our voters are like
side of the aisle.
And so, you know, I was making remarks about the stupidity of Canadians yesterday for putting in a progressive prime minister after all the problems they've dealt with. I know it's like political, proper political actions to never denigrate the voters. But I'm sitting here going, we continue as voters to put in these types of lawmakers that are like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to spend $554 million on illegal immigrants.
Here's the thing is
that I have a budget crisis.
I understand the Canadian thing for me, doing more reading, had, from what I'm coming to in the conclusion there, is it has very little to do with liberal or conservative. It had a heck of a lot more to do with the liberal candidate going, Donald Trump's wrong. He's wrong because of A, B, C, and D, and I'm going to protect Canada.
Put in there.
But I mean, I'm going to protect Canada. And the issue being this is, remember, Donald Trump's sell was the Democrats are wrong on A, B, and C, and I'm going to protect America. He basically took much of the same message, but ran it through a liberal filter, and it resonated just as strongly. So saying that they were stupid necessarily, I disagree with. They bought into it, and they took the same type of issue. Now we can talk about Colorado.
$154 million on illegal immigrants in the state of Colorado. We are spending. We have a budget crisis. We're jacking up taxes on everybody, the property taxes. You pay every fee. You get your stupid car registration fee. It's full of fees. And we spent $554 million on illegal immigrants, and the voters are like, yeah, let's continue to cement our sanctuary status while we're going to get money cut off from the federal government.
Again,
what is going
It depends on ROI, and that's where I was critical of the Mike Johnston administration earlier, is their return on investment for the money they've spent is piss poor at this point. They can't justify the spend. So while you look at the idea of the $500 million, that to me doesn't necessarily say great or horrible, but it's the results. And that's where I have some criticism, that I believe that, over the $550 million, they have gotten really, really bad results, and that questions your ability to spend that money. But I'm not convinced necessarily that a different party would spend money in a more efficient manner. It just would be spent in a different place for a different means. I'm not convinced that just because we enter the Golden Dome.
You don't think Republicans would cut spending down there?
Oh, I'm sure they would cut spending, but the question is, what spending, and what would they spend on?
At least $554 million going to illegal immigrants.
Yeah,
oh, my goodness. All right.
$550 more million go to something else?
No, give it back to the people. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.
It's 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk with Rabbi Yisrael Kohen. There is a celebration taking place down at the state capitol because today is Independence Day. By the way, just got this from a message from some friends in Israel. Hamas Hamas calls to set fires in Jerusalem, West Bank. All you have to do is burn. Youth of the West Bank, youth of Jerusalem, and those inside Israel, set their cars ablaze. Gaza awaits the revenge of the free, the terrorist organization wrote. So upon Israel's Independence Day, Palestinian Hamas calling for Jerusalem to burn. Might see some flare-ups literally taking place in that part of the region. We'll talk with a rabbi here in just a second. But now it's time for Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen.
Blake Olsen, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday. 57 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 69 today. It's going to be a beautiful day. The 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Senate Bill 276 solidifies the wrongful status of being a sanctuary state. That's what a common sense great Coloradan says. Colorado Representative Carlos Barron on the show last hour with Jeff and Billy, and this bill does not help Coloradans or ICE.
It basically handcuffs our local authorities on being able to work with ICE agents in the federal government trying to conduct their immigration laws here in the state. Basically, it's just one of those steps which I don't know if it's going to be the final step, but it's one of those steps that they've been inching towards just making this a sanctuary state, basically.
And then some Democrat lefties, unbelievable, compared deportation in Colorado and everything that's going on to Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. Seriously? That is sick. Ron Weinberg, Colorado rep, who's a Jew, was on the show with the fellas last hour. He has to deal with this crap every day. He's lost family members who were murdered in the Holocaust. And it's just incredible, the commies on the left, what they say.
It's just unbelievable how you would dare try to dilute such a serious situation such as the Holocaust. It's the narrative. Once they use their keywords, they capture the attention of their base, and that's all they attribute it to. Trump is Adolf Hitler. The Republican Party is a bunch of Nazis. It's just their talking points. It's their playbook. There's no rhyme or reason behind it besides for capturing the attention of their base.
And as Jeff just mentioned, it is Israel's Independence Day today. The U.S. is prosecuting illegals who enter the country through a newly created military zone along the southern border of New Mexico. Court filings submitted Monday show that the Department of Justice is charging at least 28 people with violations of security regulations for entering the zone. Protesters are demanding answers after the DEA rocked it and detained 114 party people who let it loose at the underground nightclub in the Springs. Tim Haney is one of dozens who took part in a rally Tuesday outside the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
We're looking for due process now for everybody as stated in the Constitution. And then also we're looking for transparency. Where are they? All right, what's their status? We don't like being held in the dark. There are family members, loved ones out there that need to know.
Okay. ICE took these individuals into custody. Those specific charges have not been released. Demonstrators questioned whether due process is being upheld, calling the arrests unconstitutional. ICE officials push back. Robert Coltrip.
I would like to just say over and over again to dispel the rumors of due process. That is not true. We afford due process to everybody that's in our custody per the law.
Absolutely. TMZ reporting that John Elway and his friend Jeff Spurbeck and their wives, they were leaving the Stagecoach Music Festival over the weekend in California. Spurbeck fell from a golf cart, hit his head. Spurbeck's also Elway's longtime agent and business partner. He was reportedly on life support and in grave condition at a Palm Springs hospital. There are reports that indicate that Elway was driving the cart, but that has not been confirmed. DJT is claiming the first 100 days of his second term the most successful among any administration ever. Hard to argue. Today, Trump will meet with CEOs from major companies who have all pledged to spend money on U.S. projects. And you know, with all this craziness around transgender, this and that, all this junk, I feel sorry for those women who you just don't know, or men.
He did so great. What's the problem over there? What's the problem? Is that a radical left lunatic? He's just a child. All right, get him out. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought it was a guy. Thank you.
Oh, man, I love it.
And she now has to go home to a mother who's a big Trump fan. Her mother's watching.
More entertainment in Michigan.
There'll never be anybody like him.
No.
No,
doubt.
we will not have a politician like him because you have years of television training.
Yeah, that's true.
Behind him.
Great point.
And the comedic timing, and then the boldness, and the just not caring what the media says.
Right. When you just don't care what people think, it just makes it wonderful. It just makes it so
refreshing. People are tired of being shamed all the time, constantly,
no
by the left.
So true.
You know, about what you wear, about the way you think, about what you said. It's just constant with them.
You know, and I was watching, what's his name, the new lefty in Canada who they elected. I watched his press conference, and oh my God, it's just what a contrast.
Yeah, no, they elected Tim Walz up there.
Yeah, they did. They did, exactly. But while he's at the podium, I mean, come on, you're looking at his eyes, and you can't believe a word he's saying. You know, it's just so phony. Just a joke. Kind of like your old buddy Ron
Mittens. Old Mittens.
I thought about him.
Well, you think about the politicians back then, and it was this constant like eggshell walking.
Yeah,
right?
No, you're right.
That somebody
exactly
somewhere is going to write a negative article about us.
That's right.
What can we do to minimize that?
He broke the mold, man. DJT did.
Well, and you'll get some people that will try to follow in those footsteps, and they just won't be able to.
No, they won't. No, there's no.
I mean, the Atlantic article the other day, I spent probably, it's like a 2-hour read. It's really about how Trump defied all the odds. I mean, was completely out in the wilderness and came back from that, achieved that in a way nobody else has, is freed up in a way that nobody else ever will be in this position. I mean, you're watching a once in a lifetime.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Right now. Yep.
I mean, in every second, it's no joke, man. He's not only fearing for his life, but he's fearing for his family's lives. All those kids, those grandkids, everyone, anyone who's related to him. And he has just plowed through it. Why? Because he loves America, unlike Democrats in Colorado, especially. Game 5, first-round series, Clippers and Nuggets last night, tied at 2 games apiece.
Hard block by Jordan. Murray on the runaway. Kawhi chases, and Murray powers it down.
Jamal Murray slams it home, 43 points. Nuggets win big, 131-115 tomorrow at the Clippers. Avalanche and Stars tomorrow as well at 7:30. 54 in Parker, 55 in Aurora, 57 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
And thank you, President Trump, for being the greatest president in American history.
Yes, Blake Olsen, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Typical late April weather for Denver. Temperatures will be in the 60s today, partly cloudy. A couple of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Temperatures will make the 60s, near 40 tonight with showers ending. Near 70 Wednesday, partly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms late. And then overnight and into the day on Thursday, showers likely, cooler Thursday with highs only in the mid to upper 50s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Today's Israel's Independence Day, and news breaking from Israel that Hamas has called the youth of the West Bank, of Jerusalem, of those inside Israel to set their cars ablaze. Bill, can I just point out that if anybody ever says to you, you know what you should do today? Light your own car on fire. Maybe just don't affiliate with that organization anymore.
Yeah,
they're, let me just say they're not looking out for your best interest.
No, probably not a great suggestion to go and burn your own stuff. Just, you know. And it's convenient how they're like, let me show you how it's done first and burn my stuff. No.
I think they're all out of their stuff at this point.
That's true. But it's always weird how they suggest that it's your stuff. I have to burn my stuff. Can't you give me some stuff and then I'll burn some stuff? I mean,
oh my goodness. Well, to give us insight on how Israel's doing in their battle against Hamas and the Israel Independence Day celebration that's taking place down at the Colorado State Capitol today. Rabbi.
Hot dog eating contest.
Israel
okay, I'm being
Kohen. You have to get the special hot dogs, Bill.
Yes,
kosher
you do.
hot dogs. You do. Hebrew National.
Yes, Hebrew National.
Those are the best ones, actually.
Those are so good. Yeah. Those go on sale. I stock up on those. They are fantastic. Okay.
Rabbi, thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show this morning.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on.
Well, happy Israel Independence Day to you. To give us an update on first what you're doing down at the state capitol, and then we'll get an update on the state.
Well, we are celebrating Yom Ha'atzmaut, and it's Israel's Independence Day of 77 years as a nation.
And what's going to happen at the event? You're going to have speakers, folks like that?
Yes, we've got a full lineup. We have actually a really wide variety of speakers today. We have state representatives. We have Matt Packard from the Colorado State Patrol will be there as a speaker. We have other rabbis from congregations locally from different synagogues, both Christian pastors and Jewish Family Services type affiliation. We just have a bunch of good people coming down and going to celebrate with us the beautiful life that Israel has. You know, when we say "Am Israel Chai," we're saying that we are the life of Israel. That Israel lives in us, and that's what we're celebrating today. Is that we have a right to live as a nation, and we want everyone to celebrate that with us.
Israel really is a remarkable country, and I've enjoyed my time there. And in fact, I'm going to be down speaking as well, so get a chance to hang out with you guys and honor and celebrate Israel's Independence Day, because it really is a lovely country. When you consider where Israel is and the challenges it faces, it's a Western-style democracy right there in the middle of the Middle East. It's got business development. It's got free speech. It provides rights to religious freedom rights to Muslims, Christians, and Jews. And when you consider all of the holy lands that are there and everybody that's trying to visit that, and the fact that Israel balances out all of those competing world religions so well, it genuinely, truly is a remarkable place. 77 years. Now, give us an update on the state of Israel. How's it doing? Let's talk about the battle with Hamas. Are there still hostages out there? Give us an update.
Well, to my knowledge, yes, there are still hostages. I do believe there's in the low 50s that are still being held. From what I understand, we have 24 that are still potentially alive that Hamas has refused to release. The rest would be the bodies of those that have passed, that have been murdered by Hamas. And, we pray every day that we pray that those families, both those that have relatives that are still being held that are alive, and the families that do have a loved one that has passed, will be returned to Israel. It's not a matter of gosh, how do you say this? Everybody who loses a loved one, everyone who loses a family member, wants to be able to have that closure and peace of mind, and know that that they're back with their family. And they're back with Hashem. And for these terrorists, to desecrate bodies and hold them as leverage against Israel to try to obtain something, it's dehumanizing. It's no different than the Holocaust, which we just celebrated just a few days ago. It's a very touchy subject for those of us that live through this every day. I think, with us being a minority, when you consider all the people on the planet, it seems like we continually find a way to be humbled in every way, shape, and form, whether it be by a terrorist group, or it be by God himself. It makes us humble and makes us appreciate the love and passion that others have for us. And that's the purpose of today, is to bring all of those out that have a love for Israel, and help us put an end to this war. We didn't start this. Hamas started this. The Palestinian people didn't start this. Hamas started this. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they are just absolutely hell-bent on seeing the demise and the destruction and the total annihilation of Israel. And we're not going to let it happen. I'm Yisrael Chai.
That's Rabbi Yisrael Kohen. And as you point out, Hamas is not happy just winning a war. It is the eradication of Jews from the face of the earth. And I think it's important to point out some of these numbers here, Rabbi. The Jews make up 0.2% of the world's population. Okay, 0.2%. And when you think of history, when you think of people groups that have transcended history, think about how well the Jews have done that in spite of the opposition. Okay, so 0.2% of the world's population, they've earned over 20% of Nobel Prizes. Medicine, chemistry, economics, literature. Albert Einstein, Jonas Salk, who cured polio, Elie Wiesel. Okay, think about the 10 Commandments and the impact it had on the foundation of Western law. You don't have Western civilization if it wasn't for the Jews. And I think it's important for people to recognize that in the midst of all the challenges they faced, from Pharaoh to Hitler to Hamas, these groups that have tried to eradicate Jews entirely off the face of the earth, in every single instance, they failed. They have been put into the ash heap of history, and the Jews remain. There's a spiritual thing there. And it's important for Christians, too, to recognize the great spiritual inheritance we have from the Jews as well. That's why I go and celebrate and honor the Jews and the independence of Israel, because I think that they are the chosen people of God, and that covenant that exists between God and the Jews maintains, and Christians have inherited that and have been grafted in, from my theology, into that relationship that exists between God and the Jews. So I want to ask you, Rabbi, we saw a report come from Harvard today. We saw an ADL report recently, anti-Semitism increasing in the state of Colorado. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it is. We're looking at situations where we have done, I'll use Denver University simply as an example of the pro-Palestinian protesters, both last year and this year. My wife and I, we were on our way, literally on our way to an engagement at a local synagogue, and we pull up to a stoplight, and a gentleman basically accosts us. He's yelling out his window, "Free Palestine." He's shaking his fist. He's calling us vulgar names, and my wife's, terrified. She's on the passenger side right next to his window, and he's, shaking his fist, yelling pro-Palestine because we have an Israeli flag attached to the car radio antenna on our car. So he had no idea who I was. He had no idea where we were going. We were actually going to a Holocaust memorial. we were 3 blocks away from the memorial, and we get, an encounter with someone like this. And I think that the indoctrination that our youth has going through college is appalling. Last year, when we did this exact same event, we did have a couple of protesters show up, and I asked for time to speak with them. And what I learned through my engagement with them and asking them, why do you have this hate for Israel? What have we done to you? They started talking about, we attacked Gaza and we were persecuting the Palestinians and such. And I said, well, what about October 7th? What about the music festival, where there were hundreds of people killed? What about them going on into the rest of Israel and killing over 1,200 families? And they said, what are you talking about? They literally said, what are you talking about? I said, y'all need to look this up. They did not know that Hamas had attacked Israel. They thought that it was in reverse, that Israel had attacked Gaza. So our institutions, these professors that are at our institutions are teaching these young people that this was Israel's fault, which we know is a lie. And it's appalling. It's appalling to think that these 4 young people in their 20s from Denver University came down to protest and had no idea about October 7th or what happened on October 7th. So this is just a smidgen, just a light touch of the anti-Semitism that is going up. It's on a rise. It's not just on a rise. It's like at 130% from what it was 5 years ago. It's a scary time for us to be Jews, but we can't be silent. We can't hide anymore. We have to take a stand where we say never again.
And Rabbi, in light of that, why is it important for Christians to come alongside Jews right now?
Oh my gosh. Because the Christian community is the one group on the planet that loves Israel every bit as much as we do as Jews. We need their support. We need that partnership. We need that love. If you go to Israel, you'll see not just Christians. You'll see Muslims, Sikhs. You'll see Hindus, It's just like the Big Apple. It's just like New York. We are the melting pot of the world, especially when it comes to religion. And we live in peace. That's all that Israel wants, is peace with everyone. It doesn't have to be this way. And if Hamas would lay down their guns today, the war would end. It's that simple.
That's Rabbi Yisrael Kohen. Now, Rabbi, I've noticed too when I'm around my Jewish friends that they genuinely appreciate the Christian support because of everything that they're facing out there and the anti-Semitism that you just described. Now, I spent 4 days with Palestinian protesters outside of the DNC in August of this last year, and I'll tell you a few things about what I learned from them, and I want to get your reaction to this. Number one, as you mentioned, sometimes their news is so off base that it's hard to have a conversation with them. They would say things like, no, you don't understand. The Israelis love being hostages in Gaza. They write love letters thanking the Gazans for taking them hostage previously. And you're just like, okay, that news is you're so far off base and so untrue, it's hard to have a conversation with you. And then secondly, somebody once described being around them as like being around a grizzly bear. So you just never know what's going to happen. And we would be marching, and a sole Israel supporter, like one, would show up out of a massive 5,000 Palestinian protesters, and they would turn like hornets on that one single Israel supporter. I don't even know if they were Jewish. They just had an Israeli flag, like you pointed out. They would turn, and it was expletives and yelling, and police had to intervene to protect that person. It was wild. It's a very unique group of people that I have a hard time even describing. Your thoughts?
Well, I having experienced this throughout my life, it's never gotten any better, but it has gotten worse. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that we need the support of our Christian brothers and sisters out there to help us show love. We want to live in peace, and when someone shouts from the river to the sea, and they're talking about they're making the claim that Israel is committing genocide on Palestine. What do you think river to the sea means? It means the total annihilation. It means no more not just no more Jewish state. It means no more Jewish people. It means we're gone. So when you're reiterating hate and destruction, it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to keep holding a hand out. For those that don't know, in Jerusalem, in Israel, a huge Muslim population works in Jerusalem, works with the Jewish people. They live there happily. It's not what's being portrayed on Al Jazeera network. The stuff that's coming out of, they say that they're treating the Jewish people, the Jewish hostages want to be there. Well, I think that the pictures of the hostages that were released, when it showed how emaciated they were, where it looked like someone had just walked out of a gulag, out of Auschwitz.
Yeah. Well, and Rabbi, I think what's happened too, especially among young people, so we're talking with Rabbi Yisrael Cohen, is not necessarily just like a direct hatred of the Jews, but I want to think particularly college students. I think they've been co-opted by Marxist thinking, which means they look at the world as oppressor versus oppressed. And anybody that's successful is an oppressor. And anybody that's not successful is oppressed. And the reason why they're successful is because they oppress other people. They look at Israel. It's a successful state in the Middle East. They look at Jews in America. They're successful people. And they go, well, it's got to be because they're oppressors. And so you've had a grouping, a coming together of anti-Semitism and Marxist thinking. And that's what's driving these college protests. Your thoughts?
Well, Israel has done something that I've never seen throughout my 57 years on the planet here. When the war started, Israel was notifying areas before they ever went into the area to make advancements militarily. Warned the population, move, we're going to have a military action here, you need to get out, you need to go someplace safe, this is an area that's going to be safe, go there. There's never been another army that has forecasted and told everyone where they're going to strike before they strike, and given the population the opportunity to leave. As far as Hamas and someone as being an oppressor, there are multiple countries that have donated food, donated goods, water, and brought it into Israel, brought it into Gaza, and Hamas takes it and doesn't give it to the people. They're giving it to the remnant of their soldiers. They're stealing the stuff that comes in on food trucks, and then doubling, tripling, quadrupling the price, selling it back to the people who have no money because of the situation that Hamas has put them in. So I think there's been a big disparity between what's actually happened versus what's been reported on some of these news agencies. Israel has gone over and above and out of its way to try to save lives. And Hamas instead puts the Palestinian people up and uses them as human shields. They're cowards. They hide behind the people that just want to live. They just want to exist.
That's Rabbi Yisrael Cohen joining Jeff and Bill live. I want to kind of focus just for a second, Rabbi, on Donald Trump and his support of Israel. He's been a great supporter of Israel, been much stronger than many other administrations. But I have one question. There was, when he's dealing with Hamas and talking about the hostages, on 2 occasions, he basically referenced that hell on earth would be unleashed if all the hostages weren't let go and made free. He put 2 different timelines on it. Hamas did not honor those timelines. And from where I'm sitting, you may have a different opinion, Donald Trump or Israel has not unleashed hell on earth. In your opinion, does that harm Donald Trump's ability to assist and help Israel in this conflict with Hamas and even part of the proxies throughout the rest of the Middle East? Because he said something was going to happen if the hostages weren't released. He was defied and nothing happened. What's your opinion about that?
Well, I have a very strong opinion about that. I believe that, when you're dealing with politics, Trump has said from day one, from the start of this war, that he wants it to end, no different than the war in Ukraine with Russia. He wants this to stop. He wants the killing to stop. And I think that you ride a very fine line when you make a statement like that and don't follow through. I do believe that Trump is going to follow through, and I do believe that once Israel finishes the operations that they have started, that if Hamas is not eradicated by Israel, they will be eradicated by Donald Trump. And then I hope they are. Now, keep in mind, I'm saying this about Hamas, not the Palestinian people. We have love for our Arab brothers, but we have no love for a terrorist organization that wants the death of every Jewish person on the planet. I think it's our obligation as when you look at 15 million Jewish people on earth and 7 million are here in the United States, I think it is our obligation as Israel's biggest partner to follow through and to help wherever it is needed, however we can help. And that includes our Christian population. You know, make a voice, pick up a phone, make a phone call. You know, let our government know that we support Israel and we want this war to come to an end.
And one way you can do that, attend the Israel Independence Day celebrations taking down at the Colorado State Capitol today, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the East Steps. By the way, on the West Steps, there's a bunch of our friends there rallying against House Bill 1312, the transgender bill. So you literally just walk around the state capitol and hang out with good people
and
all
protest
morning
two things
today.
at once. Talk about being efficient. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
go support Israel, protest the bill. That means like 2 for 1. This is a great idea. This is a great.
And I'll be at both of them. I'll be at both of them because they'll come say hi. That's Rabbi Yisrael Cohen. Thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show
Thank
today.
you so much, Rabbi.
Hey, thank you, gentlemen. As we say in Hebrew, may the Lord bless you and keep you.
Love it. Okay. You too, Rabbi. Thank you
so much.
I want to talk to you about our friends over at Alarm Detection Systems. Look, reliability isn't optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. Businesses trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about the time you could be saving just using one source. Okay, you got your cameras, your key card access, and your fire and your intrusion systems. I think I need one source just for my house. I got this alarm system, I got those cameras, everything. Oh, it's all mixed up, okay? ADS brings it all together. They got expert alarm installation and testing by highly trained technicians. They got 24/7 professional monitoring, same day or next day service upon request, knowing that downtime's not an option for you. Dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms, and over 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready to open tomorrow. You guys know this. Colorado is not a friendly place right now with all the crime, with all the problems. You need top-of-the-line alarm systems, and that's Alarm Detection Systems, okay? Trusted by small and large businesses, including many Colorado schools. Their security experts will review your system for free. Here's all you got to do. Go to adsalarm.com to schedule your appointment today. adsalarm.com. That's Alarm Detection Systems, the first choice of Front Range and Colorado businesses. adsalarm.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's going to be a busy day down at the Colorado State Capitol. So kicking off here in just about 45 minutes, 10:30, Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, CPAN, is going to be hosting their rally against 1312. You're going to hear from parents that have been directly affected in some of these custody battles over whether or not you're willing to trans your child and which parent gets custody. And I spoke with one dad that hasn't seen his daughter in 2 years because the courts bar him basically for not embracing the transgender nonsense that his ex-wife is putting their daughter through. So that's going to be at 10:30 down at the State Capitol West Steps. Then at 12:30, group of pastors will be there speaking, because all at 1:30 the committee kicks off, and you could go down to the State Capitol, testify, speak out against House Bill 1312, the Colorado radical transgender bill that they want to pass that's made international news. You can register to testify. They're expecting testimony to go late into the night, so even if you go down after work, testimony will still be going on. So that's all at the State Capitol, beginning at 10:30 on the West Steps. Then on the East Steps, Israel Independence Day from 12 to 4. They've got prayer, live music, guest speakers. I'll be making some remarks in support of Israel down there. And so I'll be on both sides. You'll see me with the 710 KNUS microphone. And especially if you're progressive, I want to talk to you because you make great videos for me. Love talking to my progressive friends down there.
That is true.
I will ask you a second-tier level logic question.
Yes, you will.
And that makes for good videos because
it's fantastic.
You got to get past the bumper sticker thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who you bump into and what the conversations are. This will be exciting.
Love to see you down there. All kicking off 10:30 today, and it'll be all day down there at the Colorado State Capitol. All right, I want to talk to you about my friend Dan Kaplis with Dan Kaplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. He's right there with us on the values, and he's dedicated 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. And in addition to being a great guy, he's a real winner in the courtroom. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted, he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So when that traffic accident comes, you don't want to be Googling Dan Kaplis at that point trying to get his phone number. Put it in your phone right now in the context so you have it. Here we go, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Trump's beginning to cut federal funds to Denver for being a sanctuary city. Meanwhile, Colorado Democrats are doubling down on being a sanctuary state, spending $554 million of your money on illegal immigrants. All while federal funding is being cut.
I love the car screeching and crashing, the music behind you as you're saying that. That just worked out too perfectly.
No wonder we're in a budget crisis, right? Have you figured it out yet? $554 million. Oh, my goodness. So if you missed any of this, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. We talked with 2 lawmakers down at the state capitol, talked with the rabbi. It was a busy day today. And Blake and I and Bill always had a lot of fun. So
yes, check out the 6 o'clock hour.
710knus.com. If you're management, don't.
Yes, don't. Not at all. That hour doesn't exist. Erase.
Tomorrow is a day without an illegal immigrant. So get ready for that. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. So that's why Jeff